So apparently, Dan had a debate with Hutch. Dude, just when I think that this discourse is over, like it keeps on dragging me back in. Oh Lord. So Dan, my mortal enemy, all right, my adversary. In my opinion, I don't even know anymore. Okay, I think that my animosity towards Dan has faded and dulled to some degree, but I'm actually quite surprised, or pleasantly surprised, at his recent arc of engaging with politics. Now, I have no idea whether or not he has registered to vote for the previous election. I still can't tell whether that one time in which he said he didn't register to vote was like a joke or something. I couldn't tell if that was a joke or not, okay? He didn't register? You sure about that? He was worried about his data? Yeah, that's gay and stupid, obviously, right? But I don't know. I want to be able to support Dan's opinions since his opinions seem to be coming from Steven. But at the same time, I feel like that is kind of meaningless if you yourself do not register to vote, right? He is officially registered as of recently. Oh, really? If so, then yeah, okay, good. Good for him.
I know that I'll disagree with
I think he did. Okay. All right. I respect that.
with you. I just don't know what it's going to be on. That's why I was asking IRI what you've said, because then I'd be able to. Because I disagree with IRI a bunch. He's very hopium pilled, and I'm very not that.
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty hopium filled. Not we're completely out of the woods and we have nothing to worry about, but kind of bullish on our chances in the short term.
What was the other thing? I'm for scaring the shit out of
drastic measures.
Yeah, like right now, today. I'm for scaring them today because I think that you can, by scaring them today, I think that you get something that you can do besides waiting for November.
Yeah, I keep hearing this argument. I genuinely have no idea what it's based on. You guys seem so confident that if the Democrats wield government with an iron fist and then direct these agencies in ways that are like,
oh yeah, basically Dan adopted Destiny's viewpoints, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if he's had this viewpoint before. I mean, like, I basically adopted a lot of Destiny's viewpoints. Okay, if so, then that's good. All right, because Destiny has the correct opinion on this one. But I mean, from my perspective, right? Yeah, okay. I think Dan truly cares. Okay, evidence. Like, forgive me for saying this, okay? But if he really cared, wouldn't he vote in the last election? I don't know anymore. Okay, all right, never mind.
Like politically motivated to target and harass and criminally charge the Republicans for things like, speeding tickets and, these kinds of like little things. I don't understand where you get the confidence that this would dissuade them. Like Donald Trump was indicted in 4 different jurisdictions, found guilty of 34 felonies in one jurisdiction, was facing down 3 other sets of felony charges.
I think Trump is like a special case, but like we've seen that other people have like.
He's very sussy about his data. Not only does the government already know, like if the government really wants to know, who you are and how to track you down, they would have done so already, right? That's number one. Number two, I think that no matter how bad the consequences are, I think that voting is so important to this country and so important to you as a person and so important to, your children, the people who came after you and blah, 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 that I think that you have an obligation to engage with voting. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that even if you had to, sacrifice your privacy for like the next blah, 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 then yeah, you have to care, right?
The J6ers, they did.
He's working on an app to record and auto-upload ICE interactions. Good for him. Okay, I support that.
Go to jail. Like, yes, they got pardoned, but like they went to jail, and other people were not pleased as a result of what happened in Georgia, right? Like, Cheeseboro and all those other guys getting their mugshots and getting arraigned and all that jazz, like that. That was not a pleasing thing to have happen to them. And I think that while they may think that Trump is going to pardon.
Here's a good example about how every voter law reduces voter registrations. I agree with that, but you shouldn't let that defeat you, though, right? Like, just because there's a lot of voter suppression doesn't mean that you should, like, give up your right to vote, right? Otherwise, like, what was the women's suffrage and, like, black voting rights movements for?
Everyone there. I think that if people
think... Like, you can't let them win. Because once you give up voting, then you let them win.
I think that, first off, Trump won't be able to solve their issues. Like, they might lose everything. All of a sudden, the allure of like, oh, we're going to have a really sick 2 to 3 years right now might be outweighed by the fact, like, but I might go to jail if this guy does not become God Emperor for life. Like, I might actually go to jail and lose everything. So maybe I should be a little bit more careful when the elections for the midterms come and they're telling me my boss says that I have to go there and detain Hispanic people. Maybe I'm not going to do that because I don't want to go to jail if this goes south. And I think that's important to have people understand that there's more than Trump is God Emperor for life. There's also like the other side, and maybe we want people dissuaded from getting super frisky and doing that type of wild stuff.
Well, all the stuff that happened in Georgia, I support. I think that was good, and I support all the other criminal charges against Trump. I wish that.
Dude, what the fuck is in Hutch's background? Maybe it's just because I've been tinkering with audio stuff like all week that like I just hear random background noise. But like I can hear the air conditioner maybe in Hutch's background. But
is your argument that like doing this would empower Trump? Like charging people is going to rile up his base or something?
No, it depends on how you do it. So like if the next DOJ comes in, I'm just a big pragmatic person, and I don't like to spend a lot of time talking about things that are very, very, very unlikely to happen, just really implausible. And
what's implausible to you? Because I think it's pretty likely he's going to do everything he can to try and sway the election so that he wins for the midterm.
He can try, but I'm more talking about the method of how you go after Republicans. It really just depends. So I get a little confused when I hear suggestions like use the agencies and use the government power to go after them for like parking tickets.
Do you think? Okay, well that was more of a meme, but like as a non-meme one, do you think that there's probably some state charges that they could theoretically get an indictment for against like Kristi Noem or whoever else for things that took place with the whole immigration fiasco that just happened? Like maybe they can get some state charges over the killings.
I hope so.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So how do you think about that? Should they do that today? Should some state charges be issued against Kristi Noem?
So I'm not a legal expert. My understanding is that them serving in the administration does shield them pretty considerably against individual state charges. But if there was a Georgia prosecutor or a Minnesota prosecutor that felt like they had a case and wanted to take them to trial for crimes, I'm fully on board with that.
Do you think, you're not an attorney, I'm not an attorney. And certainly, you could say that
attorney? Pisco.
illegal orders, or illegal, just like police officers enjoy qualified immunity, right? But
yeah.
If the thing that they're doing is illegal, and it's a pretty clear-cut illegal thing, there's no protection for that. Meaning, if a cop superior tells his cop junior, "Hey, go kill that homeless guy outside. He's fucking annoying me," we wouldn't expect them to be like, well, he was doing that in the service of duty.
Right.
In the same way, if there was an FBI agent that told, and that's a federal position, let's say there's an FBI supervisor and told his junior that's working out of Albuquerque, and he says, "I want you to go kill Walter White. I'm tired of all this bullshit. We got to end this fucking blue meth. I don't care. Just kill the motherfucker." And he did it. You would expect that the state would be able to say, well, I don't really give a shit that you're federal. It was a blatantly illegal thing. You can't just go execute a guy because it's difficult to prosecute him. Right?
Right. Yeah.
So there really isn't, if the thing that is taking place we consider to be illegal, and that can be easily proven in court, then there should be state charges brought against.
And you know what? I think that Dan might actually be a better debater than I am, okay? Because I think that some of the points and the way that he phrased things is like legitimately better than me, actually. No, me and Dan are not good. No, I did not bend the knee. No, I did not kiss the ring. No, I didn't get paid by Israel. All right.
Against these people for doing illegal acts. For instance,
if there are crimes that are taking place at the state level and Trump's presidency doesn't shield his cabinet from legal accountability, then you should prosecute 1,000%. But that's never really been the source of disagreement that I have with like Destiny and DGG. Because what they're talking about goes well beyond that, and they don't. Also. Well, all right. So, for example, like I've heard Destiny unironically say that
I like you because you don't let ego get in the way. I'm a servant of the truth. Okay, that's all I can say. I was thinking like, should I say something fancy? And I'm like, nah. I'm a servant of the truth. Okay, that's all I'll say.
We should charge like basically every sitting Republican currently with aiding and abetting an insurrection and remove them from office and bar them from ever running for office again.
But a humble servant.
I've heard like there's a wide spectrum of things that I've heard. So I've heard basically like do Nuremberg 2.0. You know, you don't even necessarily have to like come up with any existing statute or crime to charge them with. You just detain them. And if, for example, the Supreme Court says, well, you can't do that, they have rights, then a lot of DGG and Destiny himself have indicated that they are open to just basically ignoring the Constitution.
Well, I think that you don't need to make up stuff. I think that there's plenty of very specific laws that have been, depending on the person, been broken each time.
I agree.
I think that you can get creative with it and have a court figure it out. It's really like with grand juries and everything else. There's a certain amount of the prosecutor thinks there's a case, and they bring that case, and the jury or the grand jury or whatever agrees or disagrees and proceeds forward. So even in the case of Preddy, right? Like you could say, did Kristi Noem, when she directly ordered the officers involved to leave the state and continue working, was she involved with aiding and abetting, or concealing evidence? Or
yeah, but all that's fine. All that's fine. I agree with all that. Yeah.
So, but I think most people want to see stuff like that happen instead of Democrats kind of just sitting by doing nothing and just being like, oh, well, you got to wait for November,
Well, I mean, I want to see that too. And I would fully expect that if there are like democratically aligned prosecutors within the states that find crimes, that they'll pursue criminal charges. We saw that the last time in Georgia. There was, I think, another criminal case they were working on one in Michigan, maybe another one in New York. But again, like the system threw the book at Donald Trump in 4 different jurisdictions. The problem wasn't that the system was not working as intended. The problem was that the process began too late, and Merrick Garland had waited too.
What? You can't just blame it on the prosecutor's fault, dude. You have to say that, like, it doesn't matter, even if it's began late. I think it's horrendous. It is unacceptable for the Supreme Court to argue that the president is immune to prosecutions because they were done under office. That jurisdictional overview applies to Donald Trump. That's obviously ridiculous, right? That places him above the law, right? I don't like this argument that, no, like, oh God, what is Hutch doing, dude? Oh my God, he's been so bad for like the past few weeks. Dude, one of the things that he's also said, like, I don't know why he's placing the blame on the Democrats. Like, he keeps on comparing, he also compares Dan in this debate to like a lefty or to a Hassan type person, even though Dan is like the furthest person away from Hassan or a lefty. And he says this because he thinks that Dan is black-pilled. But how is it not black-pilled and Hassan-like to blame the Democrats for the failure of the prosecutions? Why don't you ever blame the Supreme Court? I feel like the Supreme Court would be the first thing that I would blame. And then I would blame Trump after that because it makes sense.
Like to appoint a special counsel. But everything you're describing is within the boundaries of the Constitution and the law, and that's fine. But what Destiny was saying in my argument with him was, I was proposing to him the possibility, or I think the likelihood.
Dan defends what I miss. I will defend Dan. Okay, I will be the one to defend Dan. Oh yeah.
That after Donald Trump serves out his second term and leaves office, he will issue a blanket pardon to himself and everybody in his cabinet that didn't piss him off. And the Supreme Court immunity ruling complicates things too. So the next DOJ might be really hindered by these two things and their ability to pursue criminal charges. And then at that point, it is up to the states to determine if they want to pursue criminal charges, which I support. But when I bring this up, Destiny's argument was, I would ask him, like, how are you going to get around this? These are like pretty significant obstacles to getting the thing done. And he was saying, well, basically, the how is not really important because as long as we all agree that the ultimate outcome needs to happen, like Donald Trump facing accountability, going to prison, his cabinet going to prison, as long as we agree on these things, then you can just get there.
Let me ask you what he was saying. Maybe to clarify this a little bit, would you agree that there's nothing besides essentially tradition that keeps more Supreme Court judges from being seated right now?
There's nothing more than a law. Like with the last time we expanded the court, it came from a law. So you can you can pass a law to pack the courts. You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the tradition has been that when people have the majority, they don't change the law to increase that, even though they may have more or less representation of the Supreme Court, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you think would be happening right now if
Hutch retreats through a procedure when he knows he's losing, and also ad hom attacks? Yeah.
Trump did not have the Supreme Court, and he felt like it wasn't going to go his way. Do you think that he would pack the court?
I don't know why, like, Hutch wouldn't just admit to, like, him making ad hom attacks too. Like, the things that he says are literally ad hom attacks. He will say again and again, you're too online, you're too young, you're too doomer pilled, you're too black pilled or whatever. How are these not ad hom attacks? You're insulting someone's state of mind in order to undermine their arguments. It's stupid, okay? All right. Yeah, and that happens every single time. You couldn't actually push back on something.
He might ask for that to happen, but he wouldn't. This is an argument that I got into, another argument that I got into with Stephen, but he would not have the support to do that. Like the current Congress would not give him extra Supreme Court justices. They just wouldn't.
Why?
Because he wouldn't have the votes in the Senate. There's like more than a few, kind of institutionalists in the Senate on the Republican side and on the Democratic side who would like never consider doing something like that because they view that as a nuclear arms race that is completely unacceptable. And so he just very simply would not have the support in Congress to do that.
I disagree. And I think that we can just look to the fact that we literally have just like essentially invaded Iran, stolen the Venezuelan president. And not only does he have full support from his squad, he has some fucking Democrats that are tagging along for this as well.
Well, the president has, I mean, listen, the president has way more latitude to do foreign policy stuff unilaterally than he does to pack the court. He just frankly, under the current interpretation of the Constitution, that, you know, this is what the cabinet is saying, and people can challenge it in court, and I imagine they will in terms of like war power stuff.
Scott, has Hutch told Dan they largely agree with each other yet? Nope, but I'm sure it'll come, okay? This was a long debate.
But he has the ability to fucking send in 5 Chinooks into Venezuela and kidnap Maduro, or, you know, start bombing Iran. And the mechanism to challenge that would be through the Congress or through the courts. And so, you know,
do you think the president has the ability to declare anyone himself as a terrorist and then go extract them from wherever they are? Can he just wake up tomorrow and declare that, you know, the president of South Korea is a terrorist and go exfil him to the United States? Is that in his power?
I mean, he probably thinks that. But again, you would have to challenge, like if he were to do something like that, the mechanism that you would use to challenge that authority would be through the Congress or through the courts.
Okay.
So, but you would agree, right, that he can just pick up the phone and order the military to go into Venezuela and do that. And, you know, he can just do that, right? Like, he can't just add Supreme Court justices. Like, he would have to go through the Congress to do that. And so it is different from foreign policy.
There's a lot of what should happen and what does happen as well. Like, what should happen in a lot of these circumstances is not what does happen. What does happen is that he produces some wacky executive order, and then things get done and they don't get challenged, or they get challenged and they get tied up in the Supreme Court, or they don't see them or everything, and then that becomes that, and then it's a reactive situation.
Well, a lot of it gets blocked too. A lot of it gets blocked in the courts too.
Sure.
He's had a number of things like blocked in the courts.
So are you against the idea that if the Democrats took power, knowing how fragile things are right now, to pack the court, and then the example I've given in the past is make DC a state, make Puerto Rico a state, how do you feel about that?
I am on board with all those things to varying degrees, but like as far as packing the court goes, I guess the only reason I think about, like, the only opposition I have to that is that it just doesn't seem very, very plausible right now. It just doesn't seem very likely that they're going to have to
get it done.
Okay, I don't like the nobody is asking you could, okay? The question I'm trying to ask is should, right? Nobody is asking you, oh yeah, could we do this right now? Could we not do this right now, right? Well, right now, like, the primary question is testing your moral boundaries, right? Like, how far would something need to go before you feel like it's too corrosive to the democratic framework or to the electoral framework, to the point where you feel like you wouldn't be able to accept it anymore, right? That's the entire point of what we should get at, right? There's no point, like, there's literally no point in asking, okay, what could we do, right? I mean, we could do anything, like as long as we put our mind to it. I feel as though we can do so much shit.
So you could get it done.
Yeah,
Let's say
I would
that there's
support
like
it.
this huge
Yeah.
like fuck Trump movement that happens.
Yeah, I would
and
support it.
We're,
Yeah.
we're 2.5, 3 years from now, and
Primary every dino that says they will vote against packing. Oh, I never heard that term before.
Support it, yes.
you would support. I would too. I think that that's something that should happen. So disagreements. So I don't think that we should. First off, I don't think that there should be too much federally happening, because I think that's kind of pointless. But I do think that Democrats need to pull out a lot of their inner Roger Stone and realize that the future of the country is on the line. And
Wait, hold on. When you say the federal stuff doesn't matter, what do you mean by that?
Well, the Democrats can't accomplish anything, essentially.
Right now, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But what they can do is they can do things in states. So I think that Democrats need to, as I said, pull out a lot of that inner Roger Stone. Winning is winning, and save.
I actually really like. I actually really like, unironically, about the things that Dan has essentially suggested, right? Air traffic control, slowing down Trump, right? Everything that all Americans could do in their power to passively resist Trump, slow down his travel time, slow down like the process it takes to like do the bills, right? Slow down, blah, blah, blah. These are all things that you could practice, and they're like within the law, okay? Like, obviously you would have to pretend to be a little incompetent to do a lot of these things, but in a way you are saving the country. Every single, like, if you're the air traffic controller for Air Force One, for the president in that circumstance, yeah, like maybe you do actually have a constitutional duty to slow down someone who is like basically a fascist, right? Like, we're not even talking about violence here. We're not even talking about like getting your guns or anything like that. I think that was an excellent answer. I think that was an excellent suggestion, okay? And that is something that I would unironically support, like fully, openly, okay? Passive resistance like that sounds great.
The country, essentially, and slow down a lot of the illegal things that are happening and the cruel things that are happening. And the best way of doing,
like maybe like passively sabotaging ICE, right? Like, if ICE wants an Uber ride, you refuse the Uber ride, right? I don't know, like there's so many things, like if you're Uber, like basically it requires like the consciousness of all Americans in order to pull something like this off, which is something that I'm not sure if we can do right now, but it's definitely something that you could try to advocate for, right?
That is making people realize that, you know what, Kristi Noem, she might be protected. Trump might issue a pardon for her. Trump might even go so far as to put pressure on the state, saying, if you charge this person, I'm going to cut off your funding and I'm going to do all this and all that. Like, that's possible. But what isn't going to happen is the people that are under Kristi Noem, maybe 2 levels under them, the ones that are actually doing the killings or doing illegal acts as defined by the state, these people are not going to have that level of protection. And I think that if it is known by most people in the news and the media that ICE agents are getting arrested by state courts and Trump can't do anything about it, or that, people who are doing crypto crimes, even though the federal government isn't prosecuting that type of stuff before, they're still getting charged by the state. If companies, even though the Clean Water Act or whatever is gone, even though all of these things are gone, states still have a lot of power to say, well, we can just do it on our own. And I think they should do that. And I think that if you start seeing massive state actions towards these people that don't rely on the federal government, I think it scares the shit out of the people that say, I really like my job. It's pretty cool that I'm the director of Homeland Security, but I kind of don't want to go to jail for the rest of my life when if Trump loses power. And that slows them down today.
But everything you're describing now is fine.
Is Stephen Miller Homeland Security?
Like, these things are doable.
But they're not doing them. They're not doing them, though.
Well,
that's the issue.
What do you mean they're not doing them? I mean, like, let me get at this.
Do you even know the names of the people that killed Preddy?
No. Do you?
That's what I'm talking. No, I don't.
Okay. Well,
that's what I'm talking about.
Hold on. Let me address your point in a different way. So step 1 of your plan is already happening. Like, we are winning elections by fat fucking margins right now. And so we can look to the various candidates and see what they ran on and see what they found the most success with.
I don't think that.
Yeah, to win elections, you have to turn out your base, but to win the hearts and minds of the people, he's Deputy Chief of Staff, thank you. But in order to win the hearts and minds of the people, that requires a lot more than just elections. That requires a mass movement, protests, civil disobedience, breaking laws, breaking rules, slowing down the president, slowing down the process that it takes for people to enact the steps towards fascism, right? These things are not done by elections, okay? These things are not possible through elections. That's not, you can't do that. And reforms, and these things can't be implemented through reform either, right? Civil disobedience to halt Trump in his tracks, to risk getting arrested in order to save the future of your country is a very patriotic thing to do. Okay, it's not something that is traitorous or treasonous. It's something that is ultimately patriotic. Okay, you're doing something that's ultimately very patriotic, and I encourage you to do it. Okay, if you're ever placed in a position to slow down Trump's advance towards demolishing democracy and and placing into it fascism, all right, you have every moral right to slow him down. Okay.
To mean too much, the fact that we're winning elections is relatively meaningless. Like,
well,
when you have,
hang on. It's not just that we're winning elections. That's not it.
The incumbent's party is usually going to get smashed.
No, but hang on. It's not just that we're winning elections.
I wonder if Dan has watched any of my debates with Hutch. He must have, right?
It's that the margins are unusually high. Like, to suggest that what's happening right now is just normal kind of politics is not true. Like, they are getting stomped by margins that look like the precursor to the 2010 Tea Party movement. And even last night, there were some astonishing shifts in, I don't remember what state it was. I think it was in Georgia. We're talking astonishing shifts, like 50-point shifts, 40-point shifts in this city or that city. Like, that is not normal. And so and also the amount of Republicans that are retiring is really abnormal. Like, it's abnormally high right now. So they can see like where this thing is headed. And so back to my point, the candidates that are having the most success right now are not running on like scorched earth.
Yeah, but I feel like the only reason why this is all the case right now is because by chance we landed with the Trump administration. Even though right now it's unprecedented times and they're absurdly dangerous, they're also stupid and they're old. Okay, so of course we're going to be, during this time, there's going to be a lot of failures on behalf of the Trump administration. But the reason why they're failing isn't because they're doing heinous shit that people don't agree with. Okay, people have always disagreed with that. Okay, the reason why they're failing is because they're not enacting fascism fast enough. Okay, after Trump is gone, the people will stay. The people who have voted to bring in Trump will once again vote for another person just like Trump, but smarter, okay? What if Stephen Miller begins running, okay? Let's just say Trump dies, he kicks the bucket, Stephen Miller runs for president, okay? And he has the same extremist rhetoric, except he's much younger, he's much smarter, all right? People begin voting for him, okay? And he wins the presidency. Well, now he's not going to lose any re-election or midterms, because guess what? People like how fast that he is implementing fascism. Every single step of his is meticulous and smart, okay? He doesn't do any public blunders. He doesn't do any kind of deliberate public crazy shit. The thing is being undermined without anybody finding out in any way whatsoever, okay? Well, by that time, it's kind of too late, isn't it? Because once President Stephen Miller, does every single step of Trump, except he does it in a smart way, well, then we're kind of fucked, right? By the time you wait until that time to do anything or to make any kind of action, I mean, by that time, you're practically just asking for the gallows at that point, right? Foodshops, do I go immediately to sleep or satiate my stone-ass compulsion to make more Brussels sprouts and then sleep? Should probably go to bed.
With fire and fury. They are running on like government corruption is bad, but they're mostly
You think
getting...
that they could be running on, I'm a vegetable and I'm here and I'm a Democrat, and they would do mostly okay as well?
No, I don't.
As long as it's any non-extremist position. In fact, the only Democrat I think that we've seen that hasn't had insane turnout, I could be wrong, are ultra-progressive Democrats are the only ones that are not overperforming. Anyone who's just a central,
That's not true.
liberal,
I mean,
boring. Okay, well, give me some examples, I guess.
Well, I don't have names off the top of my head, but like, I don't know if you're thinking of like Mouton versus Spanberger and Cheryl.
MAGA only chance next time if Tucker Carlson runs. Yeah, but Tucker Carlson would be another one of these people that is literally, but I could contain more Brussels sprouts. Okay, then make more Brussels sprouts, okay? Do whatever makes you happy, all right? But another person, okay, who, fuck, Duckbringer made me fucking lose my train of thought. Yeah, Tucker Carlson is another person who is like a smart fascist, okay? I think that he's kind of like a grifter almost, and he is a grifter, okay? I'm just gonna say he probably is a grifter, okay? But I believe that he truly is ideologically fascist, okay, like as well, all right? From everything that he's been preaching on Fox News, all the way to off Fox News, everything he preaches for is still ideologically fascist. So, I don't know. I think that anyone except for, even if any fascist gets elected to the seat of presidency again, they're going to do exactly what Trump has done, except they're going to do it better, okay? And our country can't handle a better version of Trump in any way, okay? Our country is barely struggling with this stupid, dumbass, like fucking lethargic, loser, fat version of Trump, okay? We cannot handle a skinny, charismatic Trump, okay? We can't do it, okay? A skinny, smart, charismatic, fascist Trump. We can't handle that, okay? It would be over. It would be over if that ever happened again. You have to be able to rectify that rhetoric inside of the American populace before that happens again. Okay? Otherwise, we're fucked.
Like they did better than he did, but there have been progressive. There was a progressive in Texas, in the Texas Senate. There was a progressive candidate who was like a Bernie style progressive, and
was there another Democrat running also?
No. This was in the general, a special election against a Republican, and that seat.
Okay.
If Newsom was MAGA, we'd be fucked. That's correct.
Shifted by like 32 points. This just happened like a month ago.
Well, that could have been 50.
We basically got lucky that this was done by Trump and not someone with true malicious intellect. I fully agree. And some people say, well, the only reason Trump is in this position is because he's Trump, right? Basically, he's smart enough to make stupid decisions that would ultimately advance his own goals without anybody like realizing it ahead of time, right? But I disagree with that. I fully believe that smart fascists can definitely rise to power and become president, okay? The fact that Counterpoints is willing to say that he would vote for J.D. Vance over Gavin Newsom should account for something, right? You shouldn't just dismiss something like that being advocated for or being said or blah, 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 right? The fact that Counterpoints advocates for President J.D. Vance is scary. That's a scary thought to me, okay? Because it clearly shows that if Trump was not a fucking floundering fool, okay? If he was just simply a smarter version of himself, Counterpoints would be voting for Trump, right? If Trump was a lot more like JD Vance, Counterpoints would be voting for Trump, right? And I'm wagering that Counterpoints certainly isn't the only person who thinks that, all right? We need to fix the soul of this nation, okay? Winning elections cannot be the only thing, because there's a horde of people out there right now who are ready, they're ready to wait for the next coming of Trump, okay? All right, the next Trump to appear, all right? But this time, smarter, charismatic, thinner, and more fascist.
Key points, maybe, if it was not a super progressive, right? I can't really base anything off of that, right?
Well, you're saying that we should talk about your hypotheticals more than we should be talking about the actual results.
Well, the actual results are that boring candidates are outperforming people who are extremists.
But they're winning because they're running.
Connor likes a lot of what Trump does, just not the optics. Yeah, I think so too.
On a very disciplined messaging campaign focused on affordability. And so I think if there was an appetite for the kind of fire and fury.
I don't trust my fellow Cubans to not vote for Marco Rubio fresh off the blood path. I don't even know, okay? Like
that you're suggesting, they would have discovered that in the focus groups that they do when they decide what kind of platform to run on and what kind of messaging to use. But that's not what they're saying.
I think there's a fundamental imbalance of what's best for the country and what is best for the candidate and what is best for the candidate's backers, and those things are not aligned. So
that might be true. I mean, but you should still like I understand your point, but like nonetheless, you should run campaigns on what's going to juice turnout the most, not necessarily on like the morally correct thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I think winning is the most important thing. I just don't think that I don't think progressive politics are somehow this huge thing that's like, oh wow, look, this is crazy how much the shift is. I think like any shift is expected with us, and we've seen pretty boring candidates have had big shifts, right?
Hang on, but you keep ignoring like the margins are unusual. Like Republicans are getting slaughtered by really unusual amounts, and it's a combination of disgust with the Trump administration and the Democrats having really strong candidates right now that are running on good messaging. And so step one is already happening. It's already.
That's not true. Okay, that isn't the only reason, and I wish that Hutch understood the fact that there probably is a group of Trump voters that are now anti-Trump or they are against voting now just simply because Trump is not implementing fascism fast enough, and that is a population that is kind of really, really hard to measure. At the same time, that population exists. Okay, is that scary population out there is the population that really, really wants fascism. They really want authoritarianism, but Trump isn't the one to do it. Okay? And I have fear that people like Richard Spencer and Nick Fuentes are the people who are fully behind that idea. Okay? The most extreme people. Okay? The reason why they're for the idea is because they truly do think that Trump is a floundering fool. Okay, who cannot be the one true king. Okay, but they need the one true king. Okay, they need to find Hitler's successor. Okay, but Hitler's successor certainly is not Trump for them. Okay,
it's going to happen even more in the midterms. We're going to fucking stomp them out. I think we're going to take back the Senate as well. It's going to be fucking nuts. And so maybe when we get.
My dad was a MAGA voter and definitely wouldn't vote for JD Vance, but he could vote for Rubio. Okay, if I had to choose between Rubio and Donald Trump, I would 100% have Rubio in that seat. Okay. Like, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, I would 100% have Rubio in the presidential seat, outside of Donald Trump. With that being said, okay, will Marco Rubio actually accelerate the country towards fascism? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. All right. But yeah, I mean, Marco Rubio himself probably is also pretty fucking insane. He's complicit in all this admin does. Yeah. And that's pretty bad. I agree.
Beyond that, Trump does 10 more like really fucked up things, and then that creates an appetite for the kind of messaging that you seem to be suggesting, which is like lock them up and just do whatever we can to like throw them all in prison. But right now, that is not what the voters are responding to the most. And it feels like a very online take. I think it feels like you're projecting your kind of rage and your disgust at the injustice on the.
It's gonna be like the Fast and Furious movies.
General electorate, but these are people that a lot of them are just.
Well, no, I mean we're
Eventually, we have to go to space. Okay.
We're confusing two things. Like I'm not saying that politicians have to do anything. I'm saying that state people who are not running for Senate, who are not running for Congress, just the district attorney of Minnesota
they can do that.
or whatever.
They can do that.
Oh, okay. So it's like Windows 8. And they skipped 8. They went to Windows 9.
Right, and they're not, and that's a problem.
Well, I don't know. Are you familiar? I don't know. Maybe that's happening. Do you know that that's not happening?
Yes.
That the state level district attorneys and attorneys general are not running on like accountability for crimes done by people in government. I'll bet you anything they're running on that. But I don't know. I don't really pay attention to those races and the kind of campaigns that they're.
Eventually, Hutch has to realize everyone is online. Yeah, exactly. When I was a mail girl and I was delivering mail, okay, being the cute mail girl I was, prancing around the neighborhood, handing out like letters and mail and shit like that, while like basically being slaved and shit by my supervisors. One thing I can tell you is that literally every coworker I have had during that short period of time were terminally online, okay? Yes, these hardcore blue-collar workers were terminally online, okay? These people would listen to far-right podcasts, financial podcasts, podcast bros, alt media of every kind, and they're definitely not listening to mainstream news, okay? All right, these people, these blue-collar workers, okay, who the only reason why they're against Trump is because that guy is anti-USPS, okay? That's the only reason, okay? But other than that, all right, I can promise you they're anti-doctor, anti-medicine, okay? All right? I'm telling you right now, in California, blue collar workers in California, okay? The mailmen, all right? USPS. These people, okay, they hate ICE, sure, but they believe in a lot of populist brain rot that can only be spread by these third party alt media people, all right? Everyone is terminally online. These people are the most grass-touching normies on planet Earth, okay? You cannot get more grass-touching normie than people who deliver the mail, okay? These people are the definition of grass touchers, okay? But no matter how much grass you touch, nothing will ever make you stay away from the propaganda that is online, okay? And Hutch needs to realize that, okay? Hutch needs to realize that, okay? Everybody has been swallowed up by the internet, okay? There isn't this secret silent majority that is not swallowed up by the internet and does not engage in conspiracy theories and populist messaging and insane rhetoric, right? Everybody is. This is going to be the case everywhere, all right?
That's not a race. That's not a campaign. That's just regular people should
Do you know why? Because everyone has a phone.
be prosecuting illegal acts by the Trump regime right now, and they're not. That's it. That's what's happening. I'm not talking about how people should
And everybody likes wireless earpods.
be running their campaigns, or even the messaging, like, oh, we need to have Nuremberg 2.0. I'm saying that the day-to-day, state employees should be doing their fucking job instead of not doing their job, which is the current case. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem that we're not seeing significant push.
Like, I promise you, even just having the most broke of the most broke people, I promise you, even the most broke, okay, paycheck to paycheck motherfuckers are gonna have wireless earpods and a touchscreen phone, okay? That motherfucker is listening to alt media while they're going and do blue collar shit, okay?
Fact that makes people think twice before they get really frisky. Because I will say that we are we're at a place coming up with the midterms, and I know you're very excited about it, but the whole Stalin thing is very serious. Those who vote decide nothing. Those who count the votes decide everything. That is very, 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 very much what is going to be the case, and there will be more shenanigans besides what we've seen. Like, Trump is a moron, and I will give you that, but the people that are pushing his illegal, sneaky shit are not morons. They're ultra Roger Stone sneaky fuckers like Stephen Miller. They are thinking about how can they do this? How can they do this in the most effective way? And I'm telling you right now, the way is not going to be something you can predict. It's going to be a week before voting happens. Trump does a bunch of EOs, and then people are rushing to try and go and challenge it in the courts. But oh shit, as a result of the courts, it has to start here at the lower one first before the Supreme Court does it. And by the time it's actually been challenged, this illegal shit that Trump has done to sway the election so that he wins, by the time that's happened, okay, it's too late. It's over. The elections are done.
Dan spitting. You're goddamn right.
They've been counted. It's for Trump, and we're in the sunken cost fallacy at this point, and that's an issue. And I'll say the issue, and it really matters because we have.
If you added up all the views of alt media and my 100 times mainstream stuff every day, maybe you're right, and that's the horrible shit part of it, right?
Bush instead of Gore. So doing this shit and doing it sneakily matters, and it wins if you do it at the last minute. It's an absolute thing to be considering here. And you're like, oh well, they probably won't do that. They absolutely will do this because if they don't, their life is on the line. Like their freedom.
Okay.
Fine.
Well.
Dan also brings up another great point, okay? After this, if Trump loses again and he doesn't get a pardon from the next MAGA president in power, he is going to prison, all right? Once the connection is gone, he's going to prison. But for as much as we want that to happen, he's fighting like a caged animal, okay? When an animal gets desperate and they get cornered, they become more violent and more dangerous. All right. And I'm afraid that this is what we're seeing with Trump. OK, he knows that if he loses the soul of the country, all right, after his current term, he is going to prison. All right. Which is why he is going to pull out every single possible trick in the entire book to not go to prison, which includes cheating, sabotaging, bribing. OK, all the things that a corrupt politician will do. Right.
I don't know how to address that. I feel like in these conversations a lot, it kind of goes to, well, what if the worst case scenario happens? And it's like, well, if that happens, then we will, I assume there will be a massive, massive, massive movement in this country that would respond to that. But
like with Gore versus Bush?
Didn't people say the same thing when Biden admin started, but nothing happened? Well, I mean, this time I feel like I hope that most people have learned their lesson, and I hope that people are now willing to put him behind bars. Okay.
Bush?
Well, I mean, that was a particular case, but I don't know. For this,
who was the president though for that term? Who ended up being president?
Well, that was. Listen, I'm old enough to remember that election, but what do you want me to say? If that happens,
what I want you to say is that a very small fingers on the scale.
But you just said a minute ago.
You
just said a minute ago that like our hands are kind of largely tied right now. And as far as the idea that state level prosecutors can indict current presidents and current cabinet members, that's never really been tested, and that seems unlikely to succeed.
Trump does stuff all the time that's never been tested. Okay,
and a lot of it gets but a lot of it gets thrown out of court. Like a lot of.
Oh, bro, and a lot of them sticks as well. All right, he throws out 1,000 spears. 900 of the spears miss its target. Okay, but the 100 spears that actually hit its target is pretty fucking bad. The person is still dead because this guy's got spears sticking out of him. Okay, just because 900 of the spears have missed doesn't mean that the 100 spears left over like didn't kill the person that the 1,000 spears were aiming at. Okay, like yeah, he's gonna try everything. Okay, and even if 90% of it fails, that 10% is enough to destroy the country. All right. It's so stupid. Hutch is very good at interrupting. Yeah, like I keep on getting gaslit. By the way, okay, and this is something that he'll probably never admit when I'm debating him, in the middle of debating him, but I'm 500% sure now. I'm 500% sure now at this point that Hutch is 100% talking way more than me, talking way more often than me, cutting me off every time. Like he is 100% just like not allowing me to talk, so then he is able to do his rambling and his, moral lessons and blah, 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 right? Because during the conversation, he keeps on saying, why do you keep interrupting me? Why do you keep interrupting me? Why do you keep on not letting me talk? Why do you keep on blah, blah, blah? Then I realized he's actually the one doing it, okay? Because when I watch the conversations back, when I watch the debates back, I'm going to tell you right now, okay, 100% Hutch has probably talked like 2 times more than me, okay? Or at least his side has talked like at least 2 times more than me, all right? Because when I listen to it, like, the thing I'm thinking in my head is, bro, this guy has gaslit the fuck out of me, okay? This guy has gaslit me into thinking that, because you don't keep track of that shit. You really don't keep track of that shit in the middle of a debate. You don't keep track of like, oh my God, how long have I talked? How long has the other person talked? You don't keep track of shit like that, okay? Unless you're autistic enough to have a timer. But who the fuck cares about that typically, right? Because it's usually not a problem for other people. But it is a problem with Hutch, I guess. So maybe next time I'll just fucking bring a timer. I don't fucking know.
It gets blocked.
Like, yeah.
Right?
Sure. I think Democrats should be more careful, but they should start trying some untested stuff.
Well,
what do you, it has legal footing.
But are you saying that like Tim Walz should announce like that Minnesota is indicting like Trump and Noam and what?
The ICE officers that are going to be charged for murder, state murder.
Well, hang on. There is a process obstacle when it comes to that, because my understanding, because I listened to Keith Ellison talk about what are the things that are on the table. And what he said is that the statute of limitations is not going to run out by the time Trump is out of office. Those people will be subject to criminal prosecution if they do their own investigation. And
I don't want to do it later.
Well, hang on, you didn't let me finish. But like if the state level prosecutors decided to press charges right now against the ICE agents who shot those people.
Wait, just a reminder, I am currently putting this on plus 50% speed, okay? It's 1.5 times speed. I might speed it up to 2 right now, okay? But Hutch, even on 1.5 times speed, oh my God, this guy yaps so fucking much, okay? He yaps so much, and he says nothing. He says nothing. All right? Okay,
then the administration, they do have the authority to take that to a federal judge and say, we think that this should be taking place in a federal court.
1.5
and they would have the right to just usurp that investigation. That was my understanding. Like straight from Keith Ellison is the Attorney General of Minnesota. That is what he said. So he said, even if they brought charges now, the feds have a process by which they can just usurp that and just take it out of their jurisdiction.
Well, it sounds like they need to go to the rule books and look for shenanigans where that can't be the case.
Well, hang on. Let me get some water real quick. Can you give me just a second?
Yep.
You start getting a lot of opportunity. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, prevent Hutch from getting water, please. Hutch should be banned from yapping on Green Lantern theory. See, now that's spitting right there. Okay, that's a policy I can get behind. That's reparations and legislation that I can get behind. Okay, ban him from ever mentioning Green Lantern theory ever again. Okay, please.
I feel like I'm running into the same situation that I ran into with Destiny, where I would ask him for details. Okay, like what is your plan? What does it look like? And then when I would push back and say, well, there's some obvious like obstacles to what you're saying, he would push back to me and say, well, the how doesn't really matter. Like once we decide that we want to do it, we can just figure out a way to do it. And I'm saying that in this girthy American democracy with a constitution and a set of laws.
Just a reminder, I was the first one to say that, okay? Just a very, very quick reminder that I was the first one to make that argument, okay? To say that if we put our mind to doing something, we're going to go and do it, okay? Pretty sure I was actually the first one to make that argument, but whatever, no big deal.
That's actually not always the case. Like sometimes you actually
it just means I'm ahead of the game.
Don't have the option to do the thing that you want to do. And if you want to change that in the future, you have to like pass laws and do reforms. But under the current structure, You just can't do it. And this is one of those things where, like, again, the state attorney general in Minnesota just straight up said, we do not have the option basically to charge these ICE officers with murder because the feds can just come in and take it over. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. So that's incorrect, right? They can charge. They can charge anyone for anything. Will it survive that thing? That's untested and unknown.
It's not untested. It's not untested.
Sure. Well, there's unique situations with this, right? As there is with any case. Everything is untested.
Wait, Dan. I just said, if Attorney General Ellison announced that they were going to do charges,
he shouldn't have said that.
The administration can go straight to a federal court and say, we want that. We think that should be in this jurisdiction. And the court would defer to them and give them the case. And then they would just drop the charges.
You know what? They would say this is them trying to protect a murder. And this is an extraordinary case. And we think that when we can say that the federal government is acting as a co-participant in an illegal act, which we can prove by the fact that this illegal racial segregation and discrimination was taking place to find people, we find that the federal agencies themselves are almost a co-defendant as well as the agents who committed the crime. And as such, to relinquish control to them in this extraordinary circumstance would be inappropriate. I don't fucking know. But the whole point is that there are compelling arguments to be made. And these pussies aren't even trying.
What do you mean? But why do you say there are compelling arguments? What do you mean?
Because that's a compelling argument right there.
But it doesn't matter if the federal government.
I agree. Yeah.
No. Dan, you're treating it as though this is like something that maybe we can do it. We just have to test it. But that's not true. The federal.
It is true.
It's not in this case.
It's true by the fact that Trump is literally taking people out of countries.
Hutch unironically arguing for the black pill, correct?
That is a different thing, Dan. I hate this argument that like just because Donald Trump can do some things unilaterally, this means that we can do everything. You know what? You got to stop cutting me off. Like you keep saying like the logic that because Donald Trump can do a lot of things unilaterally, and it takes like a long process.
How do you make me support Dan? How bad does your argument have to be for me to support Dan? Or like how like frustrating do you have to be for me to support Dan? I think that Hutch has done something extraordinary here. Okay, I think that Hutch is very impressive in this. Okay, somehow his arguments are so infuriating. He's making me support Dan. Okay, that's crazy work right there. Okay, in fact, I'm going to tweet this out right now.
So I have to like challenge him a lot of the times. When you say that and then say, well, this means we can do whatever we want. That's not true though. That's just not true. You are going to have to contend with the system, the girthy system of American laws and the Constitution. And in this particular case, it is just true that the executive branch can usurp those investigations and just close those, like drop those charges. They can just do that.
So I disagree with what you're saying. I think that this type of, first off, the act of doing this is something that dissuades people, which is good. So they're not even trying right now because they're like, it's not, I've seen this before. And, when an FBI agent kills someone, they kind of take it away. So fuck it. But they're not even trying. And the thing is, trying, one, sends a message that illegal shit, maybe they got lucky this time. They didn't get lucky this other time when it happened here. When that state court did it for these guys, they found, shit, they could keep going as a result. Like, this scares people. Have you ever been sued before, by any chance?
No.
Okay. The act of being sued, the act of being named, these things by themselves, success or not, are massive dissuasion.
You can sue the federal government. You can sue the executive branch.
I'm not talking about that. You're not listening to me. What I'm saying is that the people that killed Freddie should have their names out there, and these people in state should be doing their damnedest to bring them to justice, even though they may not win, even though it's a crazy task to try and overcome the idea that this might be handed over to the federal courts. Despite all that, they should throw everything at the wall. They should appeal every ruling. They should do everything legally within their power to hold what they view as unfair, discriminatory, illegal acts to these people specifically. Not just because they want to get justice for the people that were murdered, but secondly, because when other ICE agents see the absolute hell that these people are going through, the fact that they might lose, the fact that they might go to jail is enough that the success doesn't matter. It is the act and the throwing everything at the wall, legally speaking. Okay, I do not think that we should be doing things that are we're not going to be planting evidence, that type of shit. But there's enough here that I think that we should be doing everything because the act in itself is good, and the act in itself dissuades more illegal discriminatory actions from happening. Because right now, if you're an ICE agent, you feel like a fucking god and no one can do anything, and fuck you, Trump is going to protect me. But if we saw that Tim Walz was going out there and he was doing everything he could, and by the way, states are still pretty fucking powerful, there's still a lot of ability for states to do a lot of shit that the federal government doesn't get to touch. That would scare people that are thinking about continuing to do crazy illegal shit. And I think we need to see more of that, and we don't. And instead what we get is what you're showing, which is the state AG being like, well, we can't charge him because the federal...
One thing that Hutch couldn't pull on Dan? The one thing Hutch cannot pull on Dan? Age, okay? Age is the one thing that Hutch cannot pull on Dan, okay? Age is the one thing that Hutch cannot pull on Dan, and it's fucking hilarious.
Government could just say that they could just take the case. But technically, sure, they could do that, but then you could appeal that.
One hair.
And then they would appeal that, and then you could appeal that, and the whole time these ICE agents are going to be like, am I about to go to jail for the rest of my life? What the fuck is happening here? And there's going to be people getting subpoenaed and asking for evidence and the whole thing. And this is good.
So again, you talk about suing the administration. You can do that right now. In fact,
not suing. Sorry, any word that you suing there should be criminally charged.
You
not
said
suing.
you did say
that's
lawsuits. Okay, but you did say that.
Sure, lawsuits on top of that as well.
Right.
Lawsuits and criminal parts as well.
Okay,
So
but
yeah,
that's what you said. I was responding to that. So
that's my misspeak there. But I do think lawsuits should be a part of it as well. So you should have Preddy suing the families directly, as well as the state.
Family suing him, you mean?
Yeah, the family should be suing the agents. The family should be suing Kristi Noem. You should have the state should be suing the agents for damage to tourism. I don't know, 101 things along those lines. These are all super helpful things to have happen, regardless of the outcome. And they should appeal every negative thing that happens along the way. They should drag it out as long as possible. All of these things are positive.
So as far as like legal obstacles to the administration, I see democratically aligned lawyers and advocacy groups and democratic states like suing the administration and fighting them in that kind of way through litigation all over the country. What do you mean?
You know what? This kind of harkens back to something that I think was super.
You just keep cutting me off like as soon as I keep talking.
Sorry. But people, not administration.
Oh my god, Hutch is doing the thing. He's doing the thing where he does the exact same thing as the other person, except that he complains about like the other person cutting him off when Hutch is actually the one who is constantly like cutting people off. Oh my god, dude, give me a break. Dude, Hutch, you can't be the only person who moralizes. You can't be the only person who does soliloquies. You need to make your points concise, okay? You need to make your points concise. Okay, sorry. I'm just like rage tweeting now. Okay.
I'm not saying to sue the administration. I'm suing people, individual people.
Sorry,
yeah,
but you don't acknowledge that there are like potentially enormous obstacles to what you're saying. Not obstacles, but just straight up just like walls that you cannot get through. Like the idea like, oh, well, you should just try it anyways. Nobody would care. If Minnesota announced tomorrow that they're going to file criminal charges against the 2 officers, the Trump administration would immediately go to a federal judge. They would get that thrown out immediately, and no one would care. Like this would barely make a blip on Twitter for 2 hours, and people would be on to the next thing. So I don't see the value in these like symbolic process fights that you keep proposing. I don't understand the point of them. I think we should be using our resources in much more efficient ways instead of trying to chase down legal avenues that are just not open. Like Minnesota does not have the option to criminally charge these officers. They just don't. And you're saying, we'll just do it anyways. And I get really frustrated with that kind of thinking. Like, you should not waste your time doing things that you can't get done unless there's a really good unless you were 100% confident that the optics of it would really benefit you politically. Then sometimes doing symbolic things can have value. But in this case, no one would care. No one would talk about this. It would barely make the news. It would just be on to the next thing. It would be killed. The effort would be killed literally probably like within a day or 2. They would go to a court immediately and get it thrown out.
I think you're delusional. I think you're wrong. Legally speaking, I think you're wrong. Technically speaking, and I think that you're wrong on the perception of what would happen as a result of this. I think the people that brought these cases would be fucking heroes. I think it would be slow for them to try and stop it because there's novel arguments in here about how the federal government is directly enabling the illegal behavior, so it shouldn't be transferred. I think there's a tremendous amount of ambiguity here on the situation that it wouldn't just be handed over the next day. And I think that when you do this, I'll tell you 2 people that will care a lot about this when the second this happens, regardless of what may happen in the outcome. The 2 officers that killed the guy. Okay, they're going to care a lot. Their heart rate is going to be 150 for the next 2 weeks. They're not going to sleep. And do you know who else is not going to sleep? Other people that are seeing what's happening to them as a result of this. This would not move quick. It would move slow, and it would be a major positive for immigrants across the country. Just flat out. Nothing happens in a day, by the way. Regardless of what's happening here, they can't even get like. I'm sure you saw the whole thing with state federal judges telling the federal government, "Hey, you can't send people off to."
Too bad Dan isn't going to be seeing any of my glazes of him right now on Twitter because of our previous beefs. Dan has blocked me, okay? Dan has blocked me for all the previous beefs that we had, but damn. All right, now these days I wish that, he could see me being fucking glazing towards him. Fuck me, dude.
Fucking El Salvador, even that wasn't happening in days. Those were weeks. And that was day 1. They're like, this is illegal. What are you doing? And that was weeks. So this idea that tomorrow it'll be instantly flipped and they'll come will not be the case. You can make this.
Probably safest, and you would be correct.
This take a long time, and importantly, the federal government is not in control of the state courts. The state courts are in charge of what happens there.
I think we would just like get into another fight if he ever unblocked me. Okay, if he ever unblocked me and we started interacting again, like albeit like how small it is or how short it is, like we would probably just get into another fucking drama. Okay, because I think ultimately like there's absolutely no way that our personalities are like compatible in any way.
So again, they can take it to a federal judge, and then the judge can take it away from the states at that point. But this is already. I mean, sure, I would imagine, but like this is already. They're already.
Take time.
Like the AG Keith Ellison, they are doing an investigation into these shootings. They're running into a problem because the federal government is not cooperating with state level like investigators. And so the idea that they're not building a case right now is just not correct. But you would agree you wouldn't want to bring a case before you felt confident that you would be able to like secure a victory in the court or secure a guilty verdict from a jury, right?
No, I disagree. I disagree.
Okay.
Because I think that the act of attempting to hold these people accountable is almost as important as the result of what happens.
You know what? I think that Dan would probably fund my tweets anyway on an incognito account or something, or in a VPN account, or I don't know, in an alt account or something, because he tends to have a listen. Okay, he's one of these people who searches himself up. Okay, it happens.
The fact that you are even going out there and publicly saying we're going to do everything to hold these fuckers accountable. They killed one of our citizens, and we're charging them, and we have the approval from the grand jury, and we're going forward. The fact that they're doing that, I said, will greatly slow down future discrimination, and that is the greater good over the results of a single case. The results of them successfully charging these people is meaningless at all, right? It is completely meaningless of how happens with these officers. Like, it would be good if they were charged, but what happens to them isn't as important as what the administration continues to do with discrimination. So, I look at cases like, the LA riots that happened after
Rodney King.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The act of simply, they weren't even sure, like, are we going to win this case or not? Or because I think it was just like a video footage, and the before wasn't known. And it's like, usually in these cases, it wouldn't happen. I think the act of bringing the case is sometimes more important than winning the case, trying and showing people.
If you bring charges before you're confident that the process plays out in a way that would secure a guilty verdict, then you can't, there's double jeopardy issues, right? So like, I don't know. I think that's pretty weak.
We don't care about them going to jail. We care about stopping the harm of thousands of other people getting sent to fucking El Salvador and shit. Like that's the whole point here. Right? What do you think is a bigger deal? Are you not a lever puller on the track to save the 100 kids by killing one?
I mean, sure, yeah. I will never shy away from a trolley problem, but I also think that you need to be like efficient and practical, and I don't generally think that there's a lot of value. Like there are outlier cases where this isn't the case, but like I generally think that these symbolic kinds of things just probably wouldn't do much. But all of this, by the way, everything that you're describing is within the boundaries of the Constitution and the law. So I'm not even sure that I want to even fight you that much on this, Dan. Like I don't have an issue. If there was a state level, I mean, I could hear your arguments and maybe be persuaded that the Democrats at the state level and local level could be doing more to fight the administration. I'm sure they could be. I'm sure that there's more that they could do. But everything you're saying, like, it doesn't require us pursuing any kind of like extra legal means to go after the administration.
Well, what I guess the issue is that you think like, oh, well, it's not normal. It's not the norm. And I'm saying anything that's not the norm is now on the table. Like Democrats need to be way more Stephen Miller-like, way more Roger Stone-like to make sure that this country does not become insane. And that means things that normally have not been done, but are technically legal to do, that make sure that the country does not become a monarchy, those levers should be pulled. So it is not normal. Well, it is not normal that in a case where a federal agent kills someone, that the state would get involved. Usually they would lead the feds to do that. But this is maybe there's a technical ability that we should do that now. Or if packing the courts if we get to that situation, or any other number of things that normally we wouldn't do. Normally you wouldn't get rid of the filibuster. Normally you wouldn't do all this stuff. I think
you know what is the equivalent of the trolley problem for this one? It's like the trolley problem, except you pick like harm reduction, right? So you pick the trolley to run over to one person instead. But then after the trolley runs over to one person, that track then extends into another trolley problem, and it's like 6 people versus 2 people. So now you have to pick whether or not you want to run over 2 people or you want to run over 6 people. And then if you choose 2 people, it's going to go into another trolley problem, and it's going to be 3 people or it's going to be 7 people. And you're going to be like, no, I want to choose like the 3 people right there. Okay. You know what I'm talking about? I think that's a perfect analogy. Okay. It's like you're doing the trolley problem, except it's the infinite trolley problem where you always have to run somebody over, and the casualties are mounting. That's the issue. All right. At some point, because you just can't handle, like, I don't know, fucking doing 50 trolley problems in a row at some point, right? At some point, you have to tell yourself, okay, how do I fucking derail this train, right? At some point, you have to, like, ask yourself, how do I derail this train, right?
A lot of this type of stuff, you need to re-examine.
I don't disagree, Dan.
What's just here on tradition?
I don't disagree on these, Dan. Like, everything that you just laid out here.
But meanwhile, I feel like Hutch would be the kind of person who would be like, derailing this train would kill everybody in the trolley. And you never know. Who knows? You could also be running over more people by derailing the train. And the spectators and stuff is like, okay, all right.
These are all things that we can do within the boundaries of the system. I do think that we should get rid of the filibuster. I do think we should pass not insignificant reforms. I do think that we should pursue novel strategies and get creative. I don't have an issue with any of that. That's not at all what I've been pushing back against.
It sounded like you were discouraged of the idea, like, we might not be able to get a conviction against Preddy's killers. So I don't, and I think the federal...
Well, I would rather get like justice. I mean, I would rather
a good question. What would you rather have? 2, here's a trolley problem for you.
Okay.
Question.
All right.
Trolley. Lever 1. The killers of Preddy are charged in 3 years and go to jail for the rest of their life. Okay. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't start for 3 years. Okay. Lever 2. They are charged today, and it's a huge show. And people are tuning into it. Lots of evidence is coming out, lots of discovery. Trump is doing everything he can to bring it back into federal court, but there's being this one annoying state court that refuses to do it. And it's this whole thing, and they keep tacking on charges, and the federal government's not sure how to do it.
I would take a second one.
Wait. but the important part. But in the end, the two guys get away with no charges.
No, I would take
after
the
after
first.
3 years.
No, I would take the first.
Well, that's just delusional then.
You would rather. I mean, I just don't understand the value in the way that you seem to be appraising. Like, I don't think that the current administration are going to be like any meaningful amount less emboldened than they already are right now if you try to jam them up with like court proceedings. I mean, there's Donald
It's not
Trump
about the
and
administration.
well,
It's about the people that work for the machine.
well, I would
The
rather
way
get
to
justice
stop-
for those crimes, because like I don't think you're going to see a situation where ICE officers resign en masse because
No, you don't
know, a
need
couple
to, but
people
maybe they won't do crazy illegal shit. Like maybe that is the thing that's happening here. Right now,
Well,
there's no fear. There's nothing for them. They are gods.
Well-
And I think that if they start seeing that there's like 8 cases in 8 different states and these their names are forever immortalized with killing someone. Like right now, we don't even know their names. Hutch.
I
of the
agree.
people
I
that they
agree
killed.
with the spirit of the things that you're proposing, and if you propose things that to me are like practical, plausible, and you could demonstrate a very real value, then I would support doing those things. But again, this is not the argument that I've been having with like DGG and the argument that I had with Destiny. Like these are all processes that can take place within the boundaries of the law and the Constitution, which is fine. I'm not opposed to the spirit of what you're trying to do. Like I might fight you on some of the suggestions because, well, I just don't think that that's going to work. And I don't think it has any chance of making any kind of a dent. I don't think anyone's going to pay attention to it. Nobody's going to care. You know, like it's going to get buried in a mountain of new news that comes out every day, and just really not going to produce the desired outcome that you're going for.
What
But
about like the Rittenhouse thing? Like that was a huge show. That was a huge, constant, everyday thing. Was it not? In the end, they lost.
Sure.
Do you think they shouldn't have taken that case?
not really. No, I don't know what they accomplished by that. The Rittenhouse case. What did they get for that?
Well, it was a lot of press at the time. A lot of the other side.
A lot of
both
embarrassing
sides.
press. A lot of embarrassing press. I mean, they were asking him if he played fucking Call of Duty. I mean, I feel like that case was pretty embarrassing for the
They
prosecution.
should definitely learn to not do it like that. Is what I would say.
Mhm.
But in the end, that was an example of like something being brought that maybe shouldn't have been brought. But we're talking about bringing something that isn't being brought.
Kind of made him a martyr, though.
different.
I mean, I feel like
it's
they
different. Yeah, and that thing sucks. That sucks in that case. Like that shouldn't have been done. But I think that the idea that you're going to make someone a martyr that killed Preddy is highly unlikely.
Oh, I didn't say that. I said in the case of Rittenhouse, they made him a martyr. They launched his fucking social media career. That guy's probably never going to have to work a day again for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
you know, and conservatives use that whole thing to like mock the left. So I don't really know what they got for that. I don't know if they dissuaded anybody from popping off in Minnesota at the time. You know.
No. I'm just saying that like I get like it's a bad example because they didn't get anything result from it. But like that was probably a case that most likely should not have been brought in the first place, but was anyways. Right? Like prosecutors bring cases that they can't necessarily win if they think that they're on some fucking righteous course or whatever.
Then there might be a lot of political pressure for them to do it. So
Exactly,
they'll lose re-election if they don't do it. So it's like I take your point that sometimes prosecutors have like they're in a bit of a bind.
even if they're going to lose, right? Like like I could charge you right now for attempted murder because you said something so stupid the other day that I lost brain cells. I'm going to lose the case, but like technically, if I got like a really MAGA judge, could I get there and make you actually have to show to court and like defend yourself and before it got tossed out? Yeah, sure, right? But like you can bring cases. I think the issue is like it seems like you didn't want this case to be brought, but if you're okay with it being brought, then we're in agreement. I think like this should be a show trial for these two people and their boss.
You're not gonna get that show trial though. That's my point. You're not gonna get it.
I think you could try. And if it gets tossed, I think you do the appeal. I think then you have the state going and you're doing it civilly. I think that you find an additional charge to go against them. Like, oh, we lost the murder charge. Let's go with trespassing, right? And something additional, or essentially along those lines.
Call the office of A.G. Ellison and talk to them and voice your that's up to the people of like Minnesota if they want to.
This is on a grand scheme. It's not just Minnesota. It's like the entire country that needs to be making people that are doing crazy illegal shit fear that this is not forever. Even to a certain extent, a little bit of politicians, congressmen, senators who are enabling illegal behavior should think like this might not end well for me, right? Like Kristi Noem should be thinking like I might be fucked. Like a state might literally like come after me and Trump isn't my daddy anymore. And I think that's something
she feels, honestly, I'm sure she feels pretty vulnerable right now. I mean, I don't know if he's given her private assurances that he's going to pardon her on his way out the door, or, maybe the next Congress is sworn in and the Democrats announce their own kind of investigation. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Democrats are going to take over the House. I think we're going to win back the Senate. I don't give a fuck. I think they are going to conduct investigations. I think they are going to make criminal referrals to DOJ, and then DOJ is not going to act on them. But we're going to go through that process, and we're going to have these like public show trials. If I wanted to use your language, all of this shit's going to be televised. But probably similar to last time, Dan, not a lot of people are going to be paying attention to these congressional hearings. Okay, like they can do all this stuff, and I do think they should do all this stuff, but you can't force Americans to start paying attention in the way that you think that. I hear this a lot. Like people are frustrated that you can't like wake up the public and get them to be more engaged, and it's not easy to do that. There's just a lot of. I mean, America, we have it really fucking good in this country. We're wealthier than most of the world, and even people that make middle and low income here are better off than fucking 90% of the countries out there. And it's just when people are kind of doing like okay to fine to good, it's difficult to get people to pay attention in the way that you want them to. And so in the meantime, you should stick to what works and win elections and use power when you have power. And I think we are going to see a Democratic Party that's more aggressive. But when
Okay, wait. Sorry, I was typing up more tweets about this debate. Fuck me.
Way that you think that I hear this a lot.
Yeah,
Like
you
people
can't-
are frustrated that you can that you can't like wake up the public and get them to be more engaged.
Sure,
And
thank
it's
you, Dan,
not
for
easy
joining.
to do that. There's just a lot of America, we have it really fucking good in this country. We're wealthier than most of the world, and even people that make middle and low income here are better off than fucking 90% of the countries out there. And it's just when people are kind of doing like okay to fine to good, it's difficult to get people to pay attention in the way that you want them to. And so in the meantime, you should stick to what works and win elections and use power when you have power. And I think we are going to see.
What the fuck? Okay, so people don't care, so make them care, right? I mean, when you have a problem that people don't care, you should make them care, no? You shouldn't just be like okay with complacency because American democracy shouldn't be operating in this way, right? American democracy shouldn't be operating in a way where where the voter turnout is 55% and we just have to live with that, right? Maybe we should actually raise voter turnout. Maybe we should actually make people care about politics. Maybe we should actually maybe we should actually improve society, right? It's like, oh, we live in a society, yet you still live in it. Got him.
Yeah, Democratic Party that's more aggressive when we win.
I don't think you can have it both ways. We can't say that, wow, that Rittenhouse shit was fucking crazy and made him a celebrity, and that in this year when we've had some of the biggest protests of all time, people obviously care.
Well, what was different? What was different back then? It was in the middle of a pandemic. Everybody was at home staring at their phones.
I'm saying
10 hours
right now we are having the biggest protests of all time.
True.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're saying that no one's going to give a shit about a trial of the people that killed Preddy, that's delusional. Take from you. It would be absolutely sensational, huge news with everyone on both sides pulling both directions. Like to say that wouldn't be the case and it would get buried in news is just absolute.
No, it wouldn't even make it to trial, Dan. That's my point. You're not going to get this trial. Why should I trust your opinion more than Ellison? Like, do you think he's lying about this?
What? Wait, hold on. What? What do you mean? Wait, what is he talking about? It's not even going to make it to trial. Wait, hold on. Holy. What's going on here?
I think that he has political pressure to do things one way or the other. I think that he's
what's
probably...
that based on? What's that based on? What are you basing that on? Do you think you know more about the process to like do this than he does?
I know the expression that you can...
Wait, hold on. Does he believe that the people who killed Preddy are not going to be held, shouldn't be held accountable or couldn't be held accountable? Like, is that what he's saying? I can't tell. I actually can't tell anymore. I can't tell if he's actually saying what he's saying. Because maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Get me some ham and I can charge a ham sandwich. I know that. I know that this thing takes time. I know that it doesn't take the next day to get dismissed. These are all facts. Like, court moves slow, justice moves slow. People are pressure points. The public.
Hutch is not actually retarded. He's fully in the Stockholm Syndrome relationship with MAGA. Like, MAGA has raped and beaten him so much and so hard in the ass that he is used to being a bottom now. Like, that's the issue, is that MAGA has destroyed his will to fight. Like, MAGA has literally destroyed his will to fight. That's the real issue. Like, MAGA has raped him so hard to the point where he no longer has the confidence. He no longer has the confidence anymore. Like, what the fuck?
Seeing someone like OJ get off, seeing these guys.
His mind has been fucking a Hegel, like fucking brain raped by MAGA.
Get off in themselves could be an incitement to wake up more Dems of how crazy things are. The fact that Trump went so hard to bat for them, that they did everything they could to keep evidence from coming out, that they fought it every step of the way. It is the.
So you think Ellison is just being a fucking pussy? You don't think Ellison has a lot of incentive to be seen as a fighter that's going after Trump? You don't think that he has a ton of incentive to do that?
I'll tell you something about lawyers. Lawyers kind of suck. They literally do. Lawyers kind of fucking suck. A lot of times they literally won't do anything unless they have this guaranteed, because they're just obsessed. They're a very specific personality. I've known a lot of attorneys. I've dealt with a lot of attorneys, and they will not do anything unless it's been tried before. They hate doing new things. They hate going against precedent. But those are the people that set new precedent. So he's probably in the latter camp, is what I would say. So when you're asking why is he this way, I don't care. He could be a fucking amazing attorney and everything else, but it could just be that, in this case, he's an amazing attorney because he's really good with what's happened in the past. Sometimes you need to do things that are new and set new precedent. And that happens, by the way. New precedents are set where beforehand things were one way, and then a court case comes out and things are another way. Do you would certainly agree to that being the case, right?
Do you agree that Ellison has all the incentive to be seen as like aggressively fighting this administration? Do you agree that it would?
You know what? This debate almost makes me like Dan. Okay. This debate almost makes me like Dan. And Dan usually loses debates, okay? He usually loses debates, but this debate almost makes me like him, okay?
Massively benefit his political career if he was seen as like one of the strongest fighters against the Trump administration?
I mean, I can see there being other sides that I don't know as to why he's doing it. So I see that personally. I think, so I would give your argument here is that most Dems don't want this, right? We see that just the passive casual Dems, they don't want this fight. They just want, they want people to go out there and essentially, we want progressive candidates, but we don't want this Nuremberg 2.0 thing. That's something that you said earlier on. So that would be the reasoning.
I don't think the voters want this Nuremberg 2.0.
well, this guy, the DA is an elected position, so maybe he's following your advice. And he's like, man, voters don't want this Nuremberg 2.0 shit, so I guess I'll let it go.
If that's the case,
Nothing I can do.
Well, if that's the case, then your problem is with the voters.
Well,
Actually, yes, right? Yes. Yeah. My problem at the very least, and I've said this time and time again, is with the voters, okay? There will always be evil people. There will always be another Hitler. There will always be another Trump. The world is vast. There are plenty of evil people out there who are willing to do evil things. The question is, will the rest of the world just simply stand by and let evil happen, right? My sister has voted for Trump all 3 times. She is immovable. It sounds like your sister is no longer your sister, okay? She just wants you dead.
My argument is, no, my argument is with the moral good of doing this, not the re-election odds of a random district attorney in some place.
Well, listen, I mean, I just did a cursory search for Keith Ellison's track record, and he has a long career and a track record of being like very aggressive, very much an activist. I think he has all the incentive in the world, the political incentive in the world to take every action that he thought had any kind of like reasonable modicum of success or value. And if he's saying that the process for the state to try to pursue charges right now could, and just so we're clear, the executive branch, they do get broad deference from the court. So if the executive branch requests an expedited like hearing on this matter.
I have a sister that voted for Trump 3 times too, Lolo. It's never too late to detach yourself from weeds in your life, okay? All right.
If they wanted to usurp a state level investigation, they would get a hearing like relatively quickly. That shit would happen in like 1 or 2 weeks, maybe even a few days, bro. That's happened already during this administration, I believe.
So you're just saying that Trump can do whatever he wants, but no one else can? I mean,
you're doing the thing again. You're doing the thing again.
Well, I would point to the...
He can't do whatever he wants, by the way. Trump cannot do whatever he wants. That's not true.
Okay, it does feel a little bit like that, but I would say that I would point again to the fact of how long it took for people to be brought back who are illegally exported to another country. Right? So it doesn't seem like the federal government can move that quick.
Is it supposed to surprise me that the president can do more things than a state level attorney general? Of course he can. Of course he can do more things.
Well, he can do more.
I feel like everything that Hutch is saying is literally enabling Trump to do the things that he is doing, okay? If there were more people that are like Hutch, all I know is that Trump is going to have an easy time converting the country to fascism, okay? If everybody who is pushing back against Trump right now had Hutch's attitude, it would be so fucking Jova right now, okay? But the only reason why things are still holding up, why the court system is pushing back against Trump, is because they don't have Hutch's attitude, okay? It's the exact opposite of Hutch's attitude. I hate this nihilistic black pill attitude that Hutch has, okay? He has a real black pill. This is the definition of the real black pill. He's gave up before the fight even started. Like, what the fuck?
Things federally, but...
Like, we're in, like, the first quarter, and he's already gave up, all right? We have 3 more years to go.
The thing is that their power is with federal movements. States have their own things. The federal government, for the most part, if things are working as they are, the federal government really can't do too much there.
Okay, right? Again, I'm just telling you that this guy Ellison has every incentive in the world to fight Trump aggressively in the way that you're describing. He would benefit tremendously politically if he were to like play out your thing and get a show trial.
Well, you're saying he wouldn't before, right? Well, would he benefit or would he not benefit?
No. He would benefit in the sense of like rallying his base and rallying the people that support him and are looking like the Democratic Party. And so like if he can demonstrate that kind of value to like his base, and that does help him tremendously like politically. But as far as like the value nationally, I just don't think a lot of people would pay attention to this process. I don't think it would make it to the point that you're saying where there would be this show trial. And like, let me just ask you, is there anything that the Democratic Party in their fight against Trump currently, while we are out of power at the state level, at the federal level, is there anything that Democrats
We're not out of power at the state level.
Well, obviously, but I mean, like, is there anything that Democrats can't do? Or are you just...
There's stories in the Justice League comics where the heroes had to interfere with the government from doing crazy shit all the time. Sure, yeah.
Taking the view that they can do anything really if they just get creative enough. Like, do you acknowledge that there are checks and balances in the system that constrain the party and what they can do? They can't literally just do anything, Dan.
They can do anything that is legal for them to do.
Right?
They can't do illegal. I don't want them to do illegal things, but...
No, I would argue that you doing illegal things in a way that you don't compromise yourself, because, you know, we need some good people around who are not in prison in order to, you know, change this country for the better. Like, I would argue that, you know, doing civil disobedience, making a big deal out of it and becoming almost like becoming just as like vigilant as women's suffragettes and, you know, like black people during civil rights moves who are willing to be locked up in prison for the entirety of like all black people in the United States. We need these people, okay? The people who are willing to sacrifice themselves, all right, for the good of this country, all right? Because until then that happens, like we're just never gonna see anything change. Like, yeah, it's gonna suck.
Okay.
We see the federal government right now going fucking nuts trying to get their for instance, let's take the Fed, right? They want interest rates down, so they're going nuts, right? They're like, oh, what about this thing with your mortgage? Like, this is okay. Why are you getting involved here? The thing is, that level of
but even then he got checked, Dan. Even then he got checked.
He did.
Yeah.
But, but that who got dissuaded here? The people that went against Trump were like, holy shit, this motherfucker, if you go against him, you got to be you have to literally be Powell to be a god like that to go against him, because everyone else,
his power. He's abusing his power. Yes. Yeah.
No, that was illegal for him to do. I mean, should he be having his finger on the scale with the Justice Department? But going and investigating that mortgage and doing things along those lines, like, was that a crime? I don't know. I'm glad the courts were able to look in and find that that's not the case. Well, but that's a one-way process right now. That's a one-way process.
Well, I mean, I generally don't think that we should be, threatening people in the same kind of way. I don't even think we need to. No.
The black folks that got locked up on purpose and not accept bail to flood the prisons and take up all the space.
I don't think we need to, though, Dan. Like, and you agreed with me.
The women suffragettes would starve themselves and go on hunger strikes while being arrested and locked up. Okay, and the reason why they were willing to do that is because they knew that if they died, because they wouldn't eat, then more attention would be brought to the attention of the movement to get women the right to vote. Okay, that was the purpose of them going on hunger strikes. So then, in an effort to not make the women martyrs, the prisons would force food down the women's throats. That's how hard the suffragettes were willing to go. They were willing to kill themselves and starve themselves to death to get women the right to vote. To the point where, in order to prevent more martyrs, they were forcing food down these women's throats. All right, that's where the feeding tube thing comes from. Yeah.
Earlier in the conversation, the reason why Donald Trump has to go for
people forget how hardcore people can get about this stuff. And honestly, we need that kind of energy back.
Fucking mortgage fraud against Letitia James and Comey and Powell is because they're not criminals. That's why. And so with the Republicans and the current administration, they fucking are criminals. So yes, you should go after them. Go after them for their crimes. We don't need to make up mortgage fraud.
I understand that, but they're not going after those crimes right now, is what I'm saying is the issue. And you're well, technically they might be a federal crime. Well, I mean, that's something that can certainly be argued, I think.
Are there limits? Are there limits to what the Democratic Party can do?
I'm not talking about the Democratic Party. I'm talking about the men and women that make up, the individual justice system for states. I'm talking about the boots on the ground, the proletariat, not the specific politicians. I think scaring the politicians is good, but I think if the people are unwilling to carry out the orders of the politicians themselves, that also has a similar effect of bringing people.
Don't worry, Hutch says the midterms are in the bag, so no need for any of that mess. Oh, okay, gotcha. Nice, awesome. We got it.
More towards the center and more towards a non-extremist government.
That's already happening, by the way. That's already happening right now.
Sure.
In the Congress.
We're not sending people to El Salvador right now, but we did.
In the Congress, in the Congress, though. So this is, they had. Wait, hold on. They had the votes to get the one big beautiful bill passed. That you can do a couple reconciliation packages a year. They did one, and they've already given up on doing another reconciliation. But they're not even going to try to do another bill. And so there's already so much chaos and so much electoral blowback right now in the country that the Republican Party has become essentially dysfunctional. They can't get anything done. They don't have the votes to pass the SAVE Act. They don't have the votes to get rid of the filibuster. It's just they're already basically a lame duck party. And so because of these electoral consequences.
I don't know who Foodshops is, but that isn't a very nice thing to say. What? Foodshops, RI view, I think, was at. Oh God, why am I even reading DG chat? Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna get rage baited. Okay, I'm gonna get one guide. I don't know. Every single time somebody tags me in DG chat, I know some bad shit is about to go down. Our view, I think, was that Dems each have their own tribe or camp of how they like to govern or push forward ideas in the party. But with Repubs all in together from the top down, we will never be able to get past what these evil fucks have planned with the left split. Wait, what? Wait, what was the point of saying that? What is that in response to? I don't know if Foodshops says that isn't a very nice thing to say. Oh, somebody being weird.
Now there's so much dysfunction that they can't get anything done. And so that's going to get even better when Democrats win back the Congress after this November. And after we take I think we're going to win another trifecta in 2028. If the DOJ sees an avenue to charge them criminally in a way that, evades possible immunity or pardons, they should do that 100,000%. Uh-oh. Huh? You guys hear me? Is the stream good? I think we lost Dan.
Millionaire internet, by the way.
Windows automatic update. 1 second. Uh-oh. Okay. All right.
Dude, just turn it off, please.
The only Brian with $5, since you're a political figure, it's kind of your job to persuade people to go for these prosecutions. Your logic is cyclical. Is my responsibility? Wait, hang on. What if I don't agree with their strategy? I don't agree with the strategy of literally, these things cost money and time and resources. I don't agree with the strategy of literally fighting every single fight, knowing that you may lose maybe most or a lot of those fights. I don't agree with that strategy. I don't think it's an efficient way to fight this president. We've already seen states and democratically aligned.
Debating North is live. Wait, what? Destiny is debating North? I hope North gets destroyed, okay? I feel like North got bullied out of our community. Okay, Dan has only sold 9 or 11 companies. You mean 6 or 7? Yeah, I mean, dude, it's just I don't know, man.
Groups like successfully fight Trump in the courts, and I think like those are more valuable ways to spend those resources and spend those funds and use that like manpower to get what you want done. So in fact, it's not my job to persuade people to go along with a plan that I don't agree with. Like, especially when things are going the way that they are right now. We are fucking destroying them.
Did drive him out.
Michael with $5. Dan bringing up that Weinstein Brothers energy today, skeptical of authorities and experts. Trust my generalist synthesis, bro. Michael with $5. Trolley problems are one-offs. Institutional choices play by different rules. Is Dan talking about a one-off choice by armchair or?
I don't know who North is. North is a Republican that wants to bring back the old Republican Party before Trump. And because he is still a Republican at heart, he has a lot of counterpoint isms that makes a lot of his viewpoints kind of insufferable to me. So like we would get into fights a lot. Like he is anti-Trump. He is a never Trumper Republican, but just because he's a never Trumper doesn't mean that he no longer has stupid, moronic Republican beliefs, okay, that I greatly disagree with. But yeah.
Process issue. Who knows? Meta with $5. Here's the thing. When the states lose and go in this back and forth between appeals, people.
And so every single time North enters voice chat in the server, everybody just, I don't know, like somehow they always get into these fights. And like North always ends up like rage quitting or some shit. I don't fucking know. I don't remember. It's just
we'll say, see, they can't win. They're too feckless to win. I agree. By the way, I agree. If Ellison brought these charges and then they lost in the court, you'd still be dealing with people that are like, it's not good enough. You gotta fight harder. I can't seem to get some people to acknowledge that there are limits to what you can do with power. You can't just do whatever you want. Not even Trump. Trump can't just do whatever he wants. He has been checked by the system many, many times. McMitty with $10, but wouldn't the
he only needs 100 of the 1,000 spears to go through to ruin everything. Okay. All right, you don't need 1,000 spears all to hit in order to kill somebody. You just need 100 of them. All right.
Failure to prosecute, send a message of safety to the people we're trying to chill. Yeah, I mean that's the other thing too. Like if you lost that fight, like maybe people feel even worse. Maybe people feel even more powerless if you pick that fight and then you.
Foodshops is the ideal DGGer we should all aspire to be. I can't tell if that was said in sarcasm. I can't tell these days. I literally can't tell these days. Okay.
Lose. Are we doing Twitch again later? Or is it done? Probably not. What's Probably not. Let me actually, hold on. Let me end this call for now. And then
okay, I'm going to skip until Dan comes back. My hero. My hero, Dan.
Here we go.
Come back, Dan.
Rambling. Let me save you. This might as well update now. You won't miss anything. Is what it said.
Okay, well, let me just skip ahead for you, okay? Like, Democrats should just fucking, like, make magic happen and just, like, fuck the rules. There are no limits. They can do whatever they want. Just get creative. All you got to do, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to do this and this and this. Like, well, no. I mean, we have a system, and sometimes the system pushes back and says no in really meaningful ways. And I don't agree with
So you want the system to push back?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. How does it push back if you don't even try to push in the first place?
I don't even take it. I mean, I'm not advocating for a policy of doing nothing. Like, do things in the system, yes.
Good. I agree. I think that we should try novel legal theories, which may be shut down. But I just know that right now, we don't know who Preddy's killers are. It looks like they're just going to get off.
I think we do know. I think we do know those names, by the way.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. I remember now.
Somebody typed their names in my chat like a few hours.
The names were identified by some leaker of some database. I think that's what happened, right? The names were leaked by some hacker motherfucker, which is good. That's like the only reason why we knew the names. Okay, the only reason we knew the names is because it isn't because they fucking revealed it because of public pressure. Okay, it's because somebody stole the names and then revealed it. I think it's easy to doom. It's harder to try and see the light caused by the darkness. Foodshops' cope has been, oh, Hutch is a white cis man, so he doesn't get it. Without California and can't even extrapolate how things might be impacting him personally, yet he still chooses optimism. No. If you want to talk about it with me, like, feel free to, but the problem isn't optimism, okay? Optimism is acknowledging the reality and then moving forward with confidence and with a solution. The issue is that it feels like Hutch is in denial and he is coming up with excuses and copium to back up that denialism. That's what it feels like to me. That's the big difference. Like, how do you tell copium with hopium, right? How do you tell hopium with copium? There's a big difference between these two, I think. But at the same time, sometimes they can look the same. Yeah.
Let's go. Raimundo Gutierrez and Jesus Ochoa.
Those are the two that did it.
Oh, those were the two that were involved in the Alex Preddy shooting.
He could just be correct. Well, I mean, same to you, right? Or he could just be wrong. So, like, that's ultimately kind of a meaningless statement. he could just be correct. Yeah, he could also just be wrong.
And then
Okay.
Jonathan
What am I
Ross
supposed to
is
say?
the officer who shot Renee Good.
The guy who does the roasts?
No, I doubt it.
That would
The
be
Comedy
interesting.
Central guy? I don't think he became an ICE officer. I could be wrong.
I mean, I don't know if he actually has any other things besides doing the roast, so that could be the case. Okay, I didn't. This is news to me that their killers have been released, names released.
Yeah, Brian Krasenstein
Really?
was fucking tweeting out their names and shit pretty shortly after the shootings.
Let's see. So when did this happen? So it wasn't the government that
No, the white person lack of urgency or seeing how bad it is. Yeah, I feel like it's just not a good good characterization of what I believe, but whatever. I think Hutch has the common Dan problem where he doesn't talk to enough people IRL and is trying to vibe out their purposes. Yeah, but the issue is that he talks about how he lives IRL and how he touches grass. But then he also says that, he spends all day on Twitter. So, I can't tell which is which. It can only be one, right? So which one is it?
identified them, it was
Like, do you touch grass all day or are you just on Twitter all day? I'm so confused.
ProPublica.
I think the
don't
government
know.
has to release that information. I think they did. I could be wrong.
They haven't, dude. It's literally a hacker.
Yeah. So now that you have these guys' names, which is
Careful,
fantastic.
careful. No TOS stuff.
What? No, I'm saying they need
What?
to be civilly charged, and they need to be criminally charged, and they need to absolutely be showboated as much as possible, and all that jazz. That needs to happen.
But again,
I
it looks
feel
like
very
there are-
strongly on that.
Okay, but it looks like there are already processes going on right now. You're just suggesting that it needs to happen right now. But sometimes, especially in a fucking murder case, and especially if you're being stonewalled by the federal government and who the FBI are just refusing to hand over like evidence to you, that is gonna impact your ability to like bring charges. Like, what if they don't even have enough evidence right now to get it past the grand jury? You know what I mean? Like, I think you're assuming fecklessness, and you're not even entertaining the possibility that there are like actual very real process hurdles and obstacles that could complicate the matter. You're just like, you're doing the thing where it's just like, we'll just do the thing, Like, it reminds me of lefties when they were pissed at Biden for giving up on a $15 an hour minimum wage. Like, there are people like Kyle Kalinske who wanted Biden to fight that out for like
Well, no,
months,
because-
you know what I mean? And
Oh yeah, the funniest part about this debate when I watched it was Hutch was comparing Dan to to Hassan. He was comparing Dan to Hassan, and I can't think of a more like, I don't fucking know. It's like you're comparing him with his mortal enemy. Like, I feel like out of everybody to compare him to, it's probably shouldn't be Dan being compared to Hassan. It is the ultimate insult. It is.
but the reality is
there
that
is
there are
even-
limits to power, Dan. There are limits to what you can do.
I agree with that, but even in those cases, and I don't agree with those positions, but there is something to be said for continued persistent pressure on a topic, and if that's something that you care about. The issue I have with far lefties and things along those lines is that they are in it only to fight and not for any actual material good. And I think that it's a material good to have a public force of fear that if you do insane shit for the Trump administration, that you might lose it all. That
But I agree, though.
It's
I
not worth
agree.
$100K a year that you get as an ICE agent to potentially be in jail, or that it might not be worth it to be special envoy to Ukraine if it turns out that you're going to lose every.
Hutch is wrong. They're not investigating the shooting. That's the problem. Yeah, again, it just feels like he's in denial, right? He's either in denial or he doesn't know enough information, right? Possibility of losing anything is always on the table. What is even that argument? It's better to try than not. Exactly. Otherwise, you'll never know, right? Isn't that what people said? Like, oh yeah, what if I ask the girl out, but she says no? Well, I mean, then you'll spend the rest of your life wondering if that was your soulmate. So enjoy dying alone, I guess, right?
penny that you have and be in jail.
Listen, I agree. I mean, would you accept if Newsom is inaugurated in January 2029, he nominates Jack Smith to be AG, Jack Smith is confirmed, and then like some months into the administration,
No,
or
because
some amount of time,
that's not the
they
time.
come out and they say
That's
listen.
Democrats.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, would you accept that AG Jack Smith in that spot might not be in a position to bring charges against the previous administration?
I don't know the legal mechanics of charging.
Well,
Federally.
it's like the pardon and immunity, right? Like, those are pretty big.
Well,
obstacles,
that's why
right?
states are so important versus
I agree.
versus federal charges on this type of thing. But the reason
I agree.
this whole thing came up in the first place is that I am concerned of the midterms, and you seem to just be
We're gonna stomp them out.
okay.
They're not
we're
gonna steal it. They're not gonna steal it. He might try some
Okay.
shenanigans. It's not gonna work. They're gonna get stomped out.
I
I understand why some people might see this as optimism or hopium, but Hutch's worldview does not align with somebody who truly understands what the world looks like right now. So therefore, I'm inclined to say that this is copium. Okay, like I understand why people might misinterpret this as hopium, but this to me is copium. Okay, for me, I'm optimistic that the midterms will turn out great because I think that good will always prevail in the end. Okay, because I think the indomitable will of the human spirit will burst forward and defeat the evil, right? No matter how many times you die to a Dark Souls boss, on one run, you just need one time to defeat the Dark Souls boss, right? You just need one time to defeat defeat whatever boss, whatever, right? You just need to succeed one time, right? Yeah, but the problem is that Hush doesn't see the world of Dark Souls as Dark Souls. He sees the world as like My Little Pony and like fucking and like Cop Buddy movie set or some shit. I don't fucking know, right? The problem is that I want Hutch to see the world as Dark Souls because the world currently is in Dark Souls mode. And if you have optimism in the face of evil, then I'm all for that, right? But the problem is that, when you see the world of Dark Souls as like a PG game, right? And then you're like, we're going to win no matter what, right? Then, that's not going to mean much if you don't interpret the world the way I see it, right? Yeah, Radon and the power of friendship. Yeah.
I don't know how you can say this so confidently.
You want to bet
the
money?
guy who's starting wars with Iran and stealing people's presidents.
You want to bet money?
Sure. I have more than you though.
Yeah, you do.
But,
a lot. I'll bet you $50.
Okay. What is the bet here, to be clear though?
Well, I want odds because you're super confident.
Hutch needs to win me back after all this crap. You know what will happen? The next time Hutch goes against Hassan after some big controversy between Hassan and Destiny again, everyone will begin to back up Hutch again, okay? I guarantee you this is what will happen, all right? And then everybody will forget about Hutch's, like, cringe, cucky, moderate shit, okay? I guarantee you this is what's going to happen because somehow, I don't know why people have such short-term memory and people don't really, analyze situations based on a person's entire history. But, yeah, like people, I promise you that people will forget about this. Okay, 100% they'll forget about this. All right, and then after he backs up Destiny against Hassan, what will happen then is that Hutch will then begin appealing to the modders again, and everybody will go back to hating Hutch. Okay, instead of just keeping one consistent view on Hutch. I know, like, oh yeah, it's so easy to criticize other people for fucking flip-flopping all the time between different positions. But, that's kind of the default state of, like, the average stream watcher, all right, is to flip-flop between different positions all the fucking time anyway. So it's like, I don't know, maybe check yourself first, okay, before you criticize other people for changing their opinions or changing the way that they see things, right?
Want 10 to 1 odds.
You're also super confident.
That's true. Like I said, cancels out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not so confident. You've convinced me.
Yeah, I'm convinced. You know what? You've really swayed me on this.
Listen, I mean, like, I just think like American election system. I take your point about the process, but just to put.
I'll put it this way. Here's a bet I'll make for you. I will bet that if the election midterms result in a Democratic win, that it will be if it gets to that point. I don't even think it can get to that point, honestly. I was going to say that would be charged. The DOJ would say that they're fake and can't be counted, and as a result of that, this, that, and the other thing, like legal cases will go.
I would.
You know how it goes with this. It's not. It's like when you're negotiating with someone. When you're negotiating with someone to purchase something, you're anchoring reality. Okay, the first person to say a price, all future negotiation is based off of that price. The ability to say Trump won, or not Trump won, but like the Republicans won in these 10 states, and Democrats would be like, no, look, they did this. They didn't actually win because you're not counting votes from women. You're not counting votes from women who had their last name changed. Do you understand that by the time that we might get to the point where we're looking into it and it's there and it's like, well, the Supreme Court remanded it back down to the lower court because technically the state court should be the one that looks into it.
I understand
and actually they didn't. But by the time that it gets through all this, it's too late. So the public has moved on.
Yes, I agree with this. This is another point that I have been saying before. By the time that it finally crosses your line, it's already too late. No matter what kind of maximal reparations or repairing that you do to democracy, the damage has already been done and it's too late. And I would probably argue that the damage has already been done, right? The infrastructure, the Department of Education, the USAID cuts, right? This is the damage already being done, right? Like, I would argue that since that has already been done, it's already too late, right? The best thing you can do now is hopefully acknowledge the situation for what it is right now and work on fixing that right now, right? But the issue is that Hutch still doesn't view the situation as it is right now. So, yeah, I don't know.
So straight
the frog
up,
boiled slowly.
So just straight up, full stop. The Constitution is very, very clear that the executive branch do not have the authority to, quote unquote, like take over election systems. If he were to do something like that, the states would just literally ignore him. If he were to send DOJ in to like seize voting machines, then I agree with you. We are off to the races, and I'll probably be on board with a lot of stuff that you want to do.
Have we already seen, just real quick, I'm curious, have we already seen the DOJ go and seize some voting machines recently?
Yeah, but that's not the same thing as them hang on, they didn't take existing voting machines. They took voting machines related to 2020, and they got a warrant from a judge to do that. And so, like they're going to try, they're going to pour through that. And chances are, I don't think they're going to I guess they're looking for some kind of like foreign influence. It was probably like Donald Trump who called up, like Kash Patel and fucking Tulsi Gabbard. But we've seen him try this 1,000 times. He told fucking Pam Bondi to charge Barack Obama, and like, you still have to go through the courts to do this kind of thing. And so there is no mechanism for him to take over these systems. I'm not saying he's not going to try.
I don't think there's supposed to be a mechanism for the federal government to even come and look at the state's voting machines, period.
There is. He got a judge to sign off on a warrant. Like there just is.
That's an unreasonable task that in a red state that a judge would sign off on that? You know who Judge Eileen Cannon is?
Well, where do you want to go with this conversation? If you're gonna hit me with like, well, what if worst case scenario happens? Then I'm with you. Let's like take to the street.
I'm saying that is the worst case scenario. That is the expected case scenario of what will happen. That there will be a plan to do this.
Well, I mean, why aren't they already like stopping elections from happening? Yeah,
I'm glad that you're asking that. Because all that matters is the midterms. And if they move quick and they move fast and they do it all at once, they can anchor reality for the general public that Republicans won. And then it becomes a bunch of sore loser Democrats that now act like they seem like, they're just doing the same thing that the Republicans did, whining that the election was stolen.
Like, Donald Trump tried this. Donald Trump tried this in 2020. He took his case to like 60 different courts. They all laughed him out of court. So
yeah, and people are going to think it's anchoring. That's the whole thing. They need the public behind them. And also that would be unprecedented to say all of these elections.
Do you think the public's going to redo them? Do you think the public's going to get behind him?
It doesn't matter. He has the DOJ. Like literally, it's his DOJ.
Yeah, DOJ in 2020.
Not like he has now.
Well, I mean, try to take your point. I mean, Bondi will be more, I think, compliant than Trump, but they're going to be like they're going to be challenged in the courts if they tried to do this, and they're not going to.
They might be challenged in the blue districts or in the blue.
No, they'll be challenged all over the fucking country. They'll be challenged in every single. Yes, of course. They were challenged in red. They were challenged in red states in 2020. You don't have to be. Anybody can sue. Anybody can sue from the state of Arizona.
Let me ask you a hypothetical here. Okay, let's say hypothetically that the last election was stolen. Trump, which state could he have won? Was it Georgia or Pennsylvania?
He would have had to have won a few different states.
Is there one that he could have won?
No, he would have had. California maybe. I don't know.
Okay,
yeah.
Sure. All right. Hypothetically, right? This is hypothetical, so it doesn't matter. Let's say that 10 months in to Joe Biden's term, he finally gets through all the court progress, and you know what? He actually did win California. What do you think is going to happen?
I have no idea. I mean, that would be like a straight up very novel constitutional crisis.
Is there any historical things that you can look to, like Bush v. Gore, on what happens?
Well, you wouldn't redo the election, right?
You wouldn't redo the election.
Yeah. Okay. What are you saying here?
I'm saying that he just has to anchor it enough for the win. He doesn't have to survive the legal claim in the end. He already denies reality for everything that he says.
No, it was the courts that were the final arbiter of 2000. He would have to go through the courts if he wants to do these kinds of challenges, and the courts are not going to back him on this. Not even the red judges. Nobody backed him on this. Like he took his case through like 60 different fucking courts, man. He got laughed out of every fucking court.
Do you feel like
and somehow he won the Supreme Court with the jurisdictional oversight thing?
Eileen Cannon, who was a judge, do you think that she acted fairly and reasonably with the handling of Trump's case?
No, of course not. But like she would have been subject to the same kind of like appeals that any other judge would be. And so she tried to she tossed out that court case, and she used Clarence Thomas's like comments about special counsels being illegal. I mean, if Donald Trump hadn't won, then that would have been challenged, and she would have lost that challenge. They would have gone to a higher court and tried the case there, or they would have found a different judge. Yeah.
I think we're at a position where we have witnessed, and we are witnessing, Trump completely having no respect at all for the law on every front. The annulments clause, he's making tons of money. Crypto coins, just going wild, scamming people, selling Trump watches. These are things that are just not allowed.
I understand that, but even he's limited. Dan, even he's limited.
How is he limited on that one?
Not on that one. I don't know about that. About like meme coin stuff. Okay. But like, for example, he cannot just like snap his fingers and make the SAVE Act happen. He has to go through Congress, and they're saying no. And the courts have told him, have stopped a number of his policies. Like it's already happened like several times during this presidency, and he's complied with the Supreme Court rulings. And so, this idea that like, well, he can just literally do whatever he wants, therefore he's going to steal the midterms. Like, I'm not going to tell you he's not going to try some fuckery. I think he's a fucking corrupt piece of shit. I think he will.
This is what I want you to. This is like the whole point of what I'm saying here is it doesn't. You're too focused. Like earlier when I asked you on the lever, what would you rather have? The 2 cops being found guilty or the 3-year immediate effect of that happening? I don't care if we eventually win the midterms because after 2 years of litigating it, I care if we actually get in power after the midterm.
You're not going to dissuade Donald Trump from being corrupt, bro. There's nothing you can do. Yeah.
Correct, but who can you dissuade?
I don't even think you can dissuade his underlings.
Well, I think we would have to start trying to see if we can.
Like, look at this black pill. Like, this black pill. Like, just notice how Dan is always the one saying, like, we need to try something. We have to do something. We have to try something. Meanwhile, Hutch is always the one saying, like, we can't. It's over. It's all over for us. It's over. It's fucking over. Like, oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Such a negative Nancy.
Well, we have this thing called the supremacy clause, which makes it really difficult and complicated for the state level prosecutors to target this administration and people that staff the agencies. It just is what it is.
We have other legal things saying we're not allowed to go fucking yoink presidents from other countries, but we found a way around it.
Dan, you keep doing the thing. You're doing the president has so much more power than state level officials. He can't.
Hutch is like Igor from Winnie the Pooh. poo. You know, the fucking donkey or whatever that's always depressed and never wants to do anything.
And there's a lot of
the president is like a governor of the country.
no. He has way more power than the governors at the state level. So he does get.
Okay, yes, that's not what he was. That's not the point that he was trying to get at. Okay, all right.
To just do a lot of stuff, and a lot of that stuff is then challenged in the courts, and it takes a while for these challenges to actually play through. But this,
just a reminder: if you want to support me, okay, and support the work that I do, all right, keep in mind that you can always donate. Okay, guys, you guys should like the stream. All right, there are 132 people watching on YouTube right now, but there's only 33 likes. Okay, we need to pump the likes up. Okay, also. You guys should join my Discord server, okay? We have an awesome community, people on there. You know, Kafka can still be found on there, okay? So even though he's like taking a break from the space, he can still be found on there, okay? He can still be found playing Wordle every day, literally every day, by the way, okay? So if our community is a cool enough place for Kafka to still be around to play Wordle, okay? That's probably a good sign, okay? That's probably a good sign. So consider joining our Discord server. In addition, donating money on YouTube is great, but do you know what's a better place to donate money? On Kick, because Kick gives me 95% of the cut, okay? Kick gives me 95% of the cut, and YouTube only gives me 70% of the cut, okay? So if you want to donate, but contribute the maximum for minimum money, okay, consider donating on Kick, actually. So consider doing that. Thank you. I appreciate your support.
Yeah, that like Democrats, you are taking the logic, you are taking the view that, you know, number one, you're saying Donald Trump can do literally whatever he wants. That's not true, but you're using this premise to say, well, the Democrats can just do whatever they want to do at the state level. And this is just like really silly logic to me. I think
that state governments have enormous power to do things and tell the federal government to pound sand. This is almost like a classic scene from every movie that we've ever seen where some dude kills a guy and all of a sudden 4 different divisions come in. Like it's the FBI, it's the NSA, it's the state, Georgia Bureau of Investigation. It's the local cops. It's the local cops. And they're like, I'm in charge. No, I'm in charge. But that has to get sorted. And it's not instant. And the federal government can't just say, no, I win. I'm bigger. It doesn't work that way.
They can. Again, this is straight from the AG's mouth. They can just take that court case and put it in a federal court. And at that point, they would just toss it out.
No, they could try. And then there could be appeals. And then they could do the same type of bullshit that Trump is doing.
You're just assuming this, though, Dan. You're just assuming this.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not, because I've seen illegal shit.
Dan, you're doing the thing.
I've seen the illegal things that have been done by state prosecutors over time. Especially when it comes to immigrants, especially when it comes to...
Anybody want to take a nap together? Sleepy. But I'm always sleepy though. Like I'm always sleepy.
Prisoners that have been abused by the prison system trying to get cases, and the state is able to drag their heels even when they're trying to get the federal government in, and all of a sudden the federal government wants to get in because it wants to do something, and guess what? They're able to block it, and they're telling the federal government to pound sand, and they have to go and spend a lot of time. And guess what? It's not instant. It's not instant. Okay. It takes time.
Have you ever heard of something called the Green Lantern theory of politics, Dan?
No.
I'm literally rocking my chair while listening with my eyes closed. Cute.
Okay. It's a theory that came up, I think Matty Iglesias came up with it, but then Ezra Klein wrote an article in 2014. And it is basically the idea that a lot of people in the country assume that when you win power, this is in the context of like presidential elections, but you could apply it in the way that you're doing now. Like if you win power, if you become the mayor, if you become the governor, if you become the president, you can just do whatever you want. It's just a matter of creativity. You either got...
Do you think Dan believes that? Do you think Dan supports the idea? Like, where are you even getting this from, man? I just want to know what drugs Hutch is taking so then I can have some.
Got to be charismatic enough, or you got to be forceful enough. But you can basically do anything. But that's what you're doing. You're doing that with Democrats, though. You're just assuming. You're operating with the assumption that everything that you're proposing is possible. You just got to get creative about it, and you're not acknowledging that the system has checks.
Actually, yes. Why is it only Trump? Why is it only Trump that is making he has the ability to invoke something from 1776 in order to like sabotage the democratic process? Like why is it that Trump and his team has the ability to do that, but we can't? You're saying that President Gavin Newsom doesn't have the power to cite some law from the 1800s during the Civil War period in order to like condemn Trump or whatever? Are you like even trying hard enough? Like
that prevent Democrats from doing a lot of the stuff that you guys are proposing.
Try harder.
I agree that there are checks, and I think that we've seen those checks fail people time and time again. And I gave examples of like prisoners that are trying to bring cases against state officials with the backing of the federal government with what is that crime? Civil rights violations, and we're seeing states going all out to block that type of thing in situations along those lines. So I don't sign on that it's instant and nothing can happen. I sign on that states have a tremendous amount of power to delay, to come up with novel arguments of why they can do the things that they can do, and I think that those are a positive benefit to have happen for just patently insane behavior from a corrupt administration. And I think that not trying is a sign of weakness, and that the journey is more important than.
But you sound like the
Yeah, the journey before destination, okay? Life before death type beat, okay? Dan, say the words. Wait, hold on.
fucking lefties that
It's just a way to come up with novel arguments of why they can do the things that they can do. And I think that those are a positive benefit to have happen for just patently insane behavior from a corrupt administration. And I think that not trying is a sign of weakness, and that the journey is more important than
But you sound like the
Life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination.
you sound like the fucking lefties that got mad at Biden for not getting like a public option done because he didn't have the fucking votes in Congress. I've had so many arguments with lefties who make the case, well, you should have just tried anyways. I don't understand the logic. In the case of Biden, he to get a public option, he would have needed fucking 60 votes or enough votes to get rid of the filibuster, and he never had those votes, so he didn't waste his time.
This is a totally different, completely disanalogous situation.
Well,
okay,
is it though?
Trump or Biden doesn't have votes to pass a bill. That's different. An attorney general can not care about votes. They can only care about jurors and the way that they're going to vote, and that's it.
But attorney generals, their offices are finite. Their resources are finite. And you are asking these attorneys general to devote a bunch of time and money and resources that could be spent fighting white collar crime or transnational criminals or gangs. And you're asking for them to devote all these resources because you're going up against the federal government. So you're going to need like a beefy team. You're going to need a big budget. You're going to need like a...
Bro, I feel like Hutch has to be trolling, okay? It's the only explanation for his insane beliefs. Bakachu, how are you? I'm doing fine, thank you. But it's I feel like there's no other explanation for his insane beliefs. Like his beliefs are literally insane.
Significant number of your staff working on these things that in the end don't really have like a plausible path forward. And that to me, I think is just very dubious, very questionable. Like I don't think I would want my state to be devoting that level of resource to something that...
Like, I guess let's just use the example of the killers of Pretty here.
Like it's the shit that Hutch says right here that makes me think that he is MAGA, okay? It's the shit that Hutch is saying here that makes me think that he's like secretly MAGA and this was all like a elaborate concern troll, right? The fact that he literally tries to discourage state investigations of Donald Trump. Like Trump does something horrendous, Hutch doesn't even want to look into it. What are you on about? What are you on about? That makes me think that you're secretly MAGA. Why would you ever say that? I don't know. Or maybe I misunderstood? But that's such a crazy thing to say that I just can't believe he said that. It's just not possible. I'm like so doomer-pilled on Hutch right now.
So you had two people on duty that, in my eyes, are doing an illegal task. They're racially profiling people to
I'm
essentially
ass blasted.
I forget which amendment it is, but one of them. They're racially profiling people, seeing if they're a citizen or not. Even if they are, sometimes they fucking take you. It's unlawful search and seizure, the whole jazz. So to me, it's an illegal order across the board. And you have federal agents executing illegal orders. What do you think?
Didn't the Supreme Court rule on this with the Kavanaugh stops? Didn't they rule that it was like constitutional?
No, what they ruled is that in place, they didn't say that you can do it.
What did he say? He said that it's a waste of state resources to look into Trump. He said that it was a waste of state resources to go after him. That there's a million other things that they could be doing, and Trump is not important enough for them to be doing it. Is that not what he just said? That he thinks that we shouldn't be looking into Trump? Based on my experience hearing Hutch's current takes, he has typically argued that the actions being advocated are impotent or necessitate violating the Constitution. What violation is there if the state looks into Trump?
Because someone's brown. They said that you could do it based off of other factors, like being in a Home Depot parking lot, picking up, looking for work. You can't see a brown guy and just go get them. That was not what was said. But to be fair, I would say it's somewhat dubious, the rulings that they're doing on any of this anyways. That said,
I may disagree with the ruling, but that's the process. So like if they decide, that the ICE agents can do this, the best course that we have, well, I'm not familiar, so I'll take your word for it, but like the best course that we have at that point is to win elections and then build consensus and then reshape the judiciary. That's the process for getting that done. But it starts with beating them in elections.
The issue is that we're not connecting on one point here. And I'm telling you the votes don't matter. Okay. It's who counts the votes. And you're like, well, they're trying right now. I'm saying they're not trying now. I'm saying that they're going to pull some, they're going to pull some ultra sneaky shit around the midterms. I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be some real Stephen Miller, Roger Stone type shit cooked up in the fucking darkest of rooms. And it's going to come out right before the midterms. And they're going to,
Why am I agreeing with Dan? Just please, just end me, dude. I don't want to live in this reality anymore. Why am I agreeing with him? Just please, the world, the order of the way of things is twisted, okay? The laws of nature are being broken and everything is going heads up, okay?
Do everything they can.
If I'm the one ending up agreeing, that's how you know that Hutch is definitely wrong, okay? Hutch is definitely wrong if I'm agreeing with Dan. If I'm agreeing with Dan on something, this must be truly something heinous, okay? Like, it must be truly something heinous for me to agree with Dan on something. That's crazy that Hutch makes me unite with Dan on this.
To take those fucking midterms, and people like you and me are going to be bitching and moaning. And I'm saying the only way, because I know that's coming. I know that that's coming.
How do you do
I know
this?
it, that they will do everything they can. And because I know that that's coming, I know the only way I can potentially stop that from happening is to put the fear of God into the people that are going to be required to make that goal happen. And that's not just going to be the politicians. It's
what are they talking about, if you don't mind me asking? So one side is saying Democrats should take preemptive action to push back against Trump and to stop him from ruining our democracy. Meanwhile, Hutch is saying that is too dangerous. That will ruin the midterms for us, and you'll put a lot of lives at stake by doing that, and you're doing something that has way too much risk, okay? That is essentially what's going on. It is the classic moderate versus, I don't know, actually being a go-getter, okay, or whatever. And Hutch is the person who apparently already gave up. So I don't even know anymore.
also the poll workers, it's the ICE agents, it's everything down the line. And the only way to put the fear of God in them is to show them today that we're going to go fucking bananas on you guys. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
So, number one, there's like, I've agreed with like a lot of what you've suggested.
That's my president.
And so it's not that I'm saying that we shouldn't be vigilant and do nothing, but there are some of the things that you're suggesting that I think
The real question is, would you rather vote for Dan Saltman for president, or would you rather vote for Hutch? Okay, that's the real question. Okay, stop. It's not that real.
are just frankly a waste of time and resources and have no chance of success and would not produce the kind of outcome you're looking for. I just don't understand how you think, if this was really true, like if the Trump administration, they're all sleeping very sound at night because they know they're going to fucking steal the midterms. They've already got their plan in place and they know what they're going to do, and it's just waiting for the date to come where they do the big thing. I don't think anything that you're suggesting is going to dissuade them from doing that. Nothing right now.
Dissuade them? Yeah, there is one thing that could dissuade them. That's incorrect.
You know, I think I would rather vote for Dan over Hutch, because I think that Dan would at least hold the Trump administration accountable, okay? But I think that Hutch would just simply move on and then just have some harsh words for Trump, and then that's it.
Correct. If they don't think that they would have the backing of the people required, the judges and the
They
poll
don't.
workers and
They
the
don't
ICE
have the
agents,
backing to
they do right now.
No,
They
they
feel
don't.
invincible. Then why are ICE agents going and racially profiling
If they feel invincible, hang on. If they feel invincible, why are they telling? Why is the White House telling Republicans in Congress to stop talking about mass deportations?
Because the public is turning against that.
Yes. So they're not like invincible right now. They're vulnerable right now. Why did they draw down from Minnesota? Why are they even entertaining conversations about ICE reforms in the context of this budget fight?
That's good.
If they knew they were just going to, if Donald Trump knows he's just going to steal the election, they have an ironclad plan, they planned it out, and everything, they're certainly not acting like it. So like, why is Donald Trump like pressuring Congress?
Still have to act, because they still have to act within reality.
They're putting on a show, or what do you mean?
Well, no, because he still needs to try and remain popular, because the only way
How's that
if
working?
everyone,
he's historically unpopular, Dan. He's historically unpopular, Dan.
Yet he has enough of a backing that he's able to do this. The fact that Democrats are going along with crazy shit that he's doing.
He's the president.
I understand that. Okay.
Hutch's campaign slogan, Hutch is my boy. That's funny.
But you can't say he's so unpopular, everyone hates him. If that's the case, you would think that people would want their senators to not vote with him, but they do, right?
Well, those people, I mean, those senators that vote with like the Trump administration on this or that bill, they are accountable to their constituents. And so the next time there's a primary contest, those constituents, if there's enough of them and enough that disapprove, Fetterman, very unlikely to survive a primary when he's up for...
So is Fetterman just retarded? He doesn't want to be a politician anymore. And the other Democrats that have voted with the Republicans.
It's hard
or
to
the
figure
Republicans
out.
that are voting with Trump.
It's hard
they're
to,
all just, they're all stupid.
Well, no, I think that they're accountable to their constituents. Like, I think there's a lot of senators and representatives that serve in red states and districts. And so they just have a different constituency than maybe where you live or where I live, where, I don't know, is the place that you live even
like a very passive non-answer. So
it's not. It's just like you're saying.
Is Trump unpopular or not? Is Trump unpopular?
That doesn't mean that somebody who serves in a red district wouldn't be inclined to maybe vote for like 1 or 2 or 3 bills that Republicans are going for because their own constituents are like inundating their offices with phone calls and, like putting pressure on them to support these bills. Like every senator and representative is accountable to their constituents. And
in my mind, I see politicians, their number one priority is always getting reelected or getting elected, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think that if they thought that their guy was doing crazy shit, they probably wouldn't be wearing his shoes that they gave to him. They'd probably be like, wow, even most of my Republicans fucking hate this guy. I think I'm going to kind of distance myself and, not do anything. But instead, we see all-in loyalty at this point.
That's not true. What are you talking about? There's not all-in loyalty. We've had record numbers of resignations. You had one of the largest fundraisers in the entire party, Marjorie Taylor Greene, announced her retirement. She's now coming out and talking shit about Donald Trump. The Congress right now, the Senate, led by Thune, are telling Trump no. He's pressuring them very publicly to get rid of the filibuster, pass the SAVE Act, and they're saying no. It's not like, he's gotten a lot of what he wanted from this Congress. There's no doubt about that. But there are limits. And the fact that he's historically unpopular is limiting his ability to get stuff done, like right now. And you seem to think that this historically unpopular president would have the kind of institutional support that he would need to.
Dude, Hutch is delusional. Call me something new.
Literally steal the midterms in a way that is wholly unprecedented and would end the republic. And I'm just not seeing the kind of support out there in the public or even with his own party to pull something like that off. If he tries, okay, but I don't think he'll be successful. And if he is successful, then I'll join you. I don't even know why you keep bringing that up. Like, what am I supposed to do with this information?
Well, see, this is kind of the crux of the issue, is that you're like, oh, well, I'll join you when all is lost. I don't need you to join me then. I need you to join me now. That's the problem.
Yeah, but I'm already in this fight in a different way. Like, I think the best thing that we can do right now is the thing that we've already been doing, which is like fuck them up electorally, like absolutely fuck them up electorally and win elections. And you're pushing back and you're saying, well, I think he's going to steal the midterms. Therefore, you should.
I do. Yes.
Well, I don't think he's going to be successful at doing that if he tries.
You know what?
I don't even think.
This is crazy. It's a guy who's literally known for denying election results and going balls to the wall to get what he wants. And you're like, he's not going to do anything. He's not
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Everything.
Dan, I didn't say that. I said he'll probably try some shenanigans.
Probably. He's like, no.
Bro,
say that
he is not going to be
everything in his
successful.
power. He will do everything in his power using the smartest, sneakiest motherfuckers.
He tried that in 2020 and he fucking failed miserably, bro. He failed miserably.
Who was in charge then?
That doesn't matter. He still got to go through the courts.
It does matter then.
Dan, he still has to go through the courts in every single court.
I can't believe you're doing this. Of course it matters. When the DOJ is your lapdog, okay? When the Supreme Court is essentially
the Supreme Court told him no on like 3 separate cases in 2020, Dan.
Yeah, and yet the Supreme Court told him yes on the jurisdictional overview that basically got the 4 cases or 3 cases dismissed, right? Were they dismissed or were they just simply pending fucking forever? I don't know. Like, it's just, oh my God.
The same exact Supreme Court said, no, you're not going to steal this election. This is not, I have no merit here.
It's very wild.
Did they change since then?
The same thing. If it was...
Did the Supreme Court change since then?
What is the question?
It's the same Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court told him, no, like you cannot, we're not going to let you steal this election. You have no case here. And they told him no. They told him to fuck off. So even if you have Bondi...
Oh, this was back when he lost. Yes, but there was no evidence there, right?
There's not going to be any evidence here, bro. If they're going to try to steal this election, it's not going to happen.
Wait, are you saying that they might like do paper ballots only? And the people who...
How? What do you mean?
How
would they do paper ballots only?
They might just like do an executive order? Yeah, they might just do an executive order.
He doesn't have that authority. He does not have that authority.
Okay, well, make sure you challenge that.
Dan, he tried to do you remember like a couple months ago, he tried to do an executive order to get rid of mail-in ballots. That immediately got tossed out of court.
Maybe that was a precursor to know exactly what to do next time.
Maybe. But again, if we're really in this worst case scenario, the way that you suggest, number one, the stuff that you're...
No, stop. I hate it whenever he starts like fucking doomering about this. We are in the worst case scenario. It's not that we're in the worst case scenario. We are on the path to the worst case scenario, okay? And the path to the worst case scenario doesn't mean that you need a counter to the worst case scenario. The solution to the worst case scenario is not what we need right now. We need a solution to the path to the worst case scenario. I hate that Hutch whenever I hate that Hutch does this, where it's like, oh well, if we are really in the worst case scenario, we should all just be, training to become professional Minecrafters and Robloxers. Like, dude, no, okay? Like, we can talk about that. We can talk about that worst case scenario, okay? But I don't even know anymore. We're on the path to the worst case scenario. The path is different from the destination, okay? The journey is different from the destination.
Suggesting it's not going to prevent that from happening. And number two, if it pops off in that way, I'm with you. I mean, I just like...
That's too late. That's too late, though. I'm saying...
When did you guys become so doomer? I just feel like you guys have become so
radicalized. This is a scorpion. And every time you put your hand near the scorpion, it stings you. And it stings you as hard as it fucking can, okay? And you are like, well, in the midterms, he probably going to try and sting you, but, it'll be fine. I'm like, dude, that scorpion knows that if you win those midterms, he's going to die. Okay, this scorpion is going all out. He has all of his scorpion brothers that are going to be there in your shoe. He's going to be around the corner. He's going to do things you haven't even thought of yet.
He doesn't have a choice because he is constrained by the girthy cock of the American Constitution. Right now, he is constrained by the girthy cock of the American Constitution.
It doesn't feel that way for everything he does day to day.
I get that. I do understand that.
This is the most epic copium I have ever seen, dude. This has to be one of the most epic copium sessions I have ever seen. I've never seen this much copium in my life.
But I mean, you do have to.
This time it will be different.
You do have to take into account that like he has been constrained in numerous and significant ways. He can't just.
Some ways, usually not. Usually not.
Well, it depends on what he's going for. Like it could just be that the stuff that he's going for. He has the constitutional authority to at least like try and start and do. But he does not have the power to switch to just paper ballots. Like he has no authority to do that, and that would get thrown out of court like literally immediately, and the states would just ignore him. Like the red states would just ignore him, bro. And if he really did that, bro, then we are like, bro.
That's just like a specific example. That's a specific example.
I know, but I'm saying,
you're right. If he really did that, we're fucked. And I agree, which is why I'm all in on making sure that people think like,
I don't even agree
we should not be doing this. States are crazy.
I don't even agree that
charging motherfuckers.
I don't even agree that if he found a way through the process, which I don't think he has, I just don't think he can do that. I don't think he has any options to like stop these elections from happening. But
maybe hypothetically, maybe an attack goes off on American soil beforehand, martial law, and now
there's nothing in the he can't do that. It's not up to him. No, but he has no authority to do this. Like the states are the ones that very clearly it is laid on the Constitution.
It goes to the Supreme Court and they decide that he can.
They won't do that, Dan. They will not do that. They will not say that the president can just invoke emergency powers, declare martial law, and then cancel elections. They would not do that.
No, they would say that, because of some electronic warfare attack that we can't trust X, Y, or Z.
Why didn't they do that in 2020? Why didn't they do that in 2020?
Didn't they literally blame the Dominion voting machines in 2020? Isn't that literally what they did? Like, what is Hutch on right now? Shaky cam? Oh, what? Oh, it's because I'm shaking my leg. Sorry, my bad. Here, I'll move it so then it doesn't get interrupted. Okay, sorry, I'll stop rocking on the table. Okay, hold on. Is it, wasn't there the fucking Dominion voting machine shit? What the fuck? And the mail-in ballots shit? And the Michigan slate electors? And January 6th? And Nevada? And trying to pressure Pence to reject the certification? What are we talking about? I feel like I just listed all these examples off the top of my head.
Power.
Yes, what do you mean? They were in power. He lost that election. It went to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but to them, they didn't lose the election, you fucking moron. Oh my god. To MAGA. They didn't fucking lose the election, dude.
And they told him no. So why would they not do it then? But now they're on board. Did he like?
Because it was after the point. They would need to have them win, and then Democrats trying to do it. Like, it's opposite. You understand? Like, the people, like, once you win, then you're on the back foot. You're trying to be like, no, I didn't. I actually did win.
You're saying that the
Supreme advantage.
So you're saying that the Supreme Court didn't let him steal an election after it was clear that he lost, but they'll let him prevent an election?
They might. Yeah. They could.
They're not gonna do that, Dan. I understand your vigilance. I understand feeling like worried in this moment. I understand that Donald Trump is a uniquely corrupt criminal president and all of that.
Oh my god, after all of this time, I can finally create my blessed flask shell. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Holy moly, give it to me. Hell yeah.
That matters, and he's doing like very real damage, and I'm not minimizing that at all, but he is not going to steal these midterms. We are going to have midterms. We are going to stomp them out. If he tries some shit, the courts will resoundingly like reject his efforts. And
you know what
he
I'm
just
gonna hear
has
from
no
you
authority.
when it happens? You're gonna be like, no one could have seen this coming.
No,
this is totally crazy. I can't believe that the Supreme Court is letting this wacky law that hasn't been even used since 1790. Like, this is fucking crazy. The fact that they're using the soldiers quartering rule is like nuts. That's what's gonna happen. And you're gonna be like, who would have known? I knew. I think
our system is a good system precisely because it's really difficult for a Putin-like figure or a Xi Jinping-like figure or Kim Jong-un type figure to just do stuff, to just authoritatively do stuff. That's why I like our system, and he is going to run into that system again if he tries to pop the fuck off in the midterms, and he will lose that fight.
He will
lose that fight again.
When he had, you know why last time was different? It's because his staff, everyone on his team, was made up of like real people that understood that, like, at the end of the day, like Bill Barr, these guys, they're real dudes. They're real dudes. We don't have that anymore.
Dan,
that's gone.
His staff.
Oh yeah. Pence. I would argue Pence is like an American hero. Like, I probably would argue that. I would probably argue that Pence is an American hero. Yeah.
That's not the issue. The issue is the other chambers of the other branches of government. Like, you can't
say that when I can just watch the federal government come in and fucking seize voting machines.
They didn't do that illegally, Dan. They got a warrant from a judge. They're going to investigate the voting machines, and then they're obviously trying to find like.
Are you listening to yourself? You think?
No, guys. This is the kind of dialogue that makes me think that Hutch is like secretly MAGA, right? Like, this is the type of dialogue that makes me think Hutch is secretly MAGA. Like, what is this? Why is he apologizing for the investigation of the Dominion voting machines? Are you out of your mind? Like, are you actually fucking delusional? Like, this is not something liberals defend. Liberals do not defend this, okay? If you're a proper liberal, you don't defend this if you're a liberal, okay? It's not normal. Okay, hold on. Let's replay that, okay? Maybe I'm missing something.
That can't happen again?
You just can't offensively do stuff. That's why I like our system, and he is going to run into that system again if he tries to pop the fuck off in the midterms, and he will lose that fight. He will lose that fight again.
When he had, you know why last time was different? It's because his staff, everyone on his team, was made up of like real people that understood that, like, at the end of the day, like Bill Barr, these guys, they're real dudes. They're real dudes. We don't have that anymore. That's gone.
His staff is not the issue. The issue is the other chambers of the other branches of government. Like, you can't
say that when I can just watch the federal government come in and fucking seize voting machines.
They didn't do that illegally, Dan. They got a warrant from a judge. They're going to investigate the voting machines, and then they're obviously.
Like, did you hear this? Like, the big difference between Hutch. Oh my god. Hutch literally argues that it's legal for MAGA to come in and seize the fucking voting machines, but meanwhile, Democrats cannot even begin investigations into Donald Trump because the state efforts should be used elsewhere, okay? If this isn't a MAGA argument, I don't know what is, okay? If this is not a MAGA argument, I literally don't know what is, okay? Because this is a MAGA argument, right? Like, this is literally a MAGA argument. Are we gonna pretend that this is not a MAGA argument? This is a MAGA argument, right? You are defending the Dominion voting machines being investigated, and you're saying that it's legal, blah, 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 right? But meanwhile, Democrats shouldn't be investigating Donald Trump? This is heinous. This is insane to argue for, okay? This is unacceptable to argue for, all right? This is unhinged, unprecedented for Hutch to argue this point, all right? Notice, and even more so than that, okay? Even more so than that, it's even worse, right? Notice how Hutch is doing the Republican thing, right? When it comes to the Republicans, it's what they could do. When it comes to the Democrats, it's what they should do. He's not even measuring them by the same standards. Did you guys notice that? Because I caught that. Did you guys notice that? Did you guys notice the way that Hutch is speaking is just exactly the same as MAGA? Even the way that he's framing the issues is exactly the same as MAGA. Oh, with the Dominion voting machines, oh, they could do that because it was legal. But then with Democrats, they shouldn't be looking into Trump on a state level because we shouldn't be doing that. I can't believe it, right? Like, do you guys see the difference? See, this is the kind of shit. Okay, do I actually believe that Hutch is MAGA? No, right? No, I don't think so. Okay, but this is like, I feel like this is the face of true evil. Okay, true evil isn't people who are ideologues, who are pro-fascism, who are openly trying to advocate for fascism. Okay, true evil is when you're a good man, but you do nothing as you let liberal win. As you let evil win. Okay, that to me is true evil. Okay, true evil is not good versus evil. True evil is nihilism. Okay, true evil is black pillism. Right? Like, to me, at the very least, that is the definition of true evil. Because at least when you're going against the ideologue, the battle feels fair, true, just, and open. Right? You are going against someone who openly disagrees with your ideas, and you guys are trying to get the upper hand, okay? But nothing feels worse. Literally, nothing feels worse than to argue against your own side while they are adopting the positions of the enemy, okay? Nothing feels worse than arguing against somebody who claims to be on your side while adopting the positions of the enemy, all right? And the framing and the argumentative style of the enemy, all right? It feels horrible because it feels as though Hutch has been so raped. He's been so viciously raped that he doesn't understand that there is hope anymore. He doesn't understand that we could do things anymore. It's somebody who has fell in love with his kidnapper, with his rapist. This is Stockholm Syndrome. Okay? Like, he is literally doing the Stockholm Syndrome meme. MAGA has so viciously raped him for the last 10 years that he doesn't picture any possible reality in which we win. He is a rape victim. He's an abuse victim of MAGA.
Trying to find like some.
And honestly, I think the Republicans like it that way because we know they have nothing worth campaigning on. They make no commitments, no promises, so they're sure we can't hold to our own. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I don't know anymore. It's just so blackpilling to me.
Listening to yourself? You think that can't happen again?
You think that a judge is going to sign off on the.
Like, even Dan, like, this deep into the debate is incredulous. Just look at his face. That is the face of absolute horror, okay? Like, I hope that everybody memorizes, like, the way that Dan looks right now, okay? This is his genuine reaction, okay, to the most MAGA argument that he has ever heard from Hutch, okay? This is the face of true horror, okay? You've seen a dead body, okay? This is the face of seeing, like, someone getting murdered in cold blood, okay? He is looking upon it and he sees evil. He sees death. He sees evil, all right? This is the face of true evil, apathy. Because at least you can try to change the minds of somebody who proclaims to be on the other side, okay? You can try to change their minds, but you can't change your mind. You can't change the mind of somebody who has ultimately gave up, okay? You can't change the mind of somebody who has surrendered before the battle even begins, right?
Federal
Why did it happen this
branch.
time?
Because they're investigating something that happened fucking 6 years ago, Dan. There's not going to be a judge.
Outside the statute of limitations, Hutch.
I don't think
Why
that's
are they there
true.
in the first place?
How the fuck did they get a warrant from a judge then?
Because it's a corrupt fucking government that doesn't care.
Okay, well, listen, in order for him to be successful, like, he's going to need the cooperation of the judiciary, and the judiciary has significantly checked him on a number of occasions already so far during this term. But you seem to be inclined to believe that the judiciary would sign off on him declaring emergency powers and then declaring that he has power that he just does not have in the Constitution. You think that they would sign off on that? And as disillusioned and black-pilled as you have become with the system right now, like, there are limits, like, there are boundaries that he cannot operate outside of, and this is one of those things that's firmly outside of those boundaries. I do wish that we could just fast forward so I can like pat that head of yours and just comfort you and say, look,
I need you to explain to me.
He went up against the girthy.
Like, it feels like true evil, okay? Like, this is another indicator of true evil, okay? I think there's nothing more heinous as well as Hutch saying, I wish I could pat your head and reassure you everything is going to be fine. You know, when you have abusive parents, okay, when you grew up with a hard childhood, okay, and your dad was the more abusive one than your mother, okay? And your mother is the person who stands idly by and tells you that everything is still going to be fine. The mother is actually more evil than the dad in that scenario. Do you know why? It's because your mother gives you the false hope that everything is going to be fine. Your mother is the one that gives you the hopium after getting beat by your dad, all right? She is the enabler of his abuse, all right? He is the one that fucks with your head the most. Because at least with your dad, you know what you're expecting. You're expecting a beating, okay? But the person who stands idly by, trying to convince you over and over again that it's going to be fine because you put your trust into them, that is the person that mind fucks you the most, all right? And ultimately, I think that Hutch is playing the role of probably the most evil position of that, which is the abuse. The abuse allowing mother, right? Like, I hate that. That's the most evil position. That's the most evil position you can make. It really is, because you're the enabler of evil. That makes you even more evil than the person who conducts the evil, right? It's so demeaning. Dan is a grown man, or Hutch possibly. Like, what the heck? I'm way younger than both of them. I find it offensive. It's so disingenuous and condescending. I think that, you know what? After such a long time of covering Hutch at this point, like obsessively covering Hutch, because I'm fucking obsessed at this point, okay? Like, I'm willing to admit that. I think I'm willing to go to say that that Hutch's language is also abusive, okay? Like, I'm willing to go as far as to say that, okay? Because I remember saying it before for Pisco, and I know that Destiny has said it before for Pisco, and, you know, like, and I agree that Pisco is, like, most definitely abusive, and he has abusive language and whatever, right? But I think that Hutch has the other side of the coin, okay? I think that Hutch owns the other side of the coin, which is, like, he basically talks down to you, is incredibly condescending towards you, tells you that you're being silly, you're being dumb, you don't know much about politics. But meanwhile, he wants to offer you these, like, small hints of compliments or small hints of positivity, right? He'll say things like, oh, I wish I could pat your head and comfort you. I wish I could tell you that everything's gonna be all right. I want to be there for you, or whatever, right? But that's the thing. That's what makes the evil insidious, right? That's what makes the evil insidious. Is because at the same time that he is the one arguing against you, he is also the one that wants to present to you as a way that he is like a comforting figure, right? Or whatever. At the same time of trying to undermine your positions and your intelligence. That to me is like true evil, okay? Because nothing will fuck with you more than anything like that. I don't know. But I don't think Hutch is aware of this. I don't think Hutch is doing this on purpose. I just think that Hutch is doing this and it's evil. That's it, right? I don't know. It definitely gives toxic parental vibes. My dad literally used to talk to me like that. Yeah, exactly. It's like, and you know, that's the kind of shit that makes you want to vie for Hutch's validation, right? That makes you vie for Hutch's compliments, right? You want Hutch to compliment you because Hutch will always present an air of disappointment, right? Because I feel like and you can notice this for everybody that Hutch talks to, okay? There's always a disappointed, like, way that he frames all of these arguments, right? Like, he is always trying to come off as like, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. Every single sentence, every single line, right?
Constitution, and he lost again.
I want to be explained how the DOJ is getting voting machines from Georgia right now.
Okay.
And why you're okay with that and think it's...
Why do you think I'm okay with that? Why do you think I'm okay with that?
No, sorry. No, I don't think you're okay with that. That's sorry.
Dan shouldn't have said like, oh, I'm sorry. No. Hutch is okay with it, okay? Hutch is okay with it. All right. If Hutch, on one hand, is defending Trump on what they could do, but meanwhile going after Democrats on what they should do and holding them differently to different standards and basically trying to encourage inaction among the Democrats while trying to encourage action, while trying to justify action among the Republicans, to me at the very least, that is not Hassan, sorry, that is Hutch. Fucking Freudian slip right there, okay? That is Hutch essentially defending it and saying that Trump is allowed to do it, okay? There can be no other conclusion that I could make, okay? There's no conclusion I could make off of that other than that conclusion, because I think it's impossible to reconcile the way that he like defends these two things and the way that he analyzes these two things differently. Yeah, I don't know. He's just, it makes you question your intentions, your reality, and your experiences because it comes off as concerning. You don't know whether to clap out or be quiet. It really mindfucks you. Yeah, the mindfuck, like in my opinion, like when I look back to my childhood, right? I think the mindfuck is more severe than the beatings. Okay, as somebody that has been mindfucked over and over again in my childhood, that like left me with like fucking permanent like fucking scars on my brain or whatever the fuck, right? I feel as though that I just feel like I recognize it, you know? You just recognize it. Like you see it and you recognize it, right? Like I don't know how else to describe it. You recognize it immediately, okay? And I'm gonna tell you this right now, okay? Mind fucking like this is way worse than any kind of beating, than any kind of physical abuse, than any kind of spanking, than any kind of slapping around, okay? I guarantee you, okay? Slapping, messing around, physical abuse is horrible, but the psychological warfare is worse than the physical trauma. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I fully think so. Okay, as somebody who has experienced both before, constantly. Okay, for years.
I don't know why you think they couldn't do that immediately after the election.
Because you would need a judge to sign off on it, and they're not going to go along with that.
Why did they sign off?
And you know something else? With physical trauma, at least that is in the moment. Okay, when your ass is being beat, it sucks. But then after your ass gets beat, okay, at least like you get to just kind of try to cope and move on, right? But the thing with psychological warfare, with psychological shit that like Hutch is doing right now, is that you think about it after the confrontation is over, okay? The worst part about psychological trauma is that you can't get it out of your head, okay? You can't stop thinking about it, okay? After it's being done to you, all right? Yeah, that's the worst part of it, okay? Is that it doesn't end when the confrontation ends, all right?
On this one.
Dan, that is an event that happened 6 years ago. They're not like
it
wouldn't have any
on crimes like this is 5 years.
Dan, do you acknowledge that there's a difference between a judge signing off on the administration seizing voting machines before an election takes place? Understand? There's a
what about immediately after?
They can try, but a judge is not going to sign off on that, buddy. That is not going to happen. If they try to conjure some, they literally have like no like constitutional authority to do this.
Like, oh my god, it's such a good analogy. Holy fuck, man, dude. Hutch is literally the person who is trying to apologize for Trump, right? Trump is the abusive father who does the physical abuse, and Hutch is the mother that is trying to downplay the thing that Trump is doing, but then also trying to put the blame on you, but then also at the same time like telling you that you're just a child and you don't know any better, right? So like this is literally what's happening. It's like if Trump is the father, Hutch is the mother, and Dan is like the single child. Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
If they try to assert that they have, like some evidence that there was fuckery, they're gonna have to present that evidence to a court. And what do you think their odds of success are gonna be in that spot?
Well, I've been telling you from the beginning, it doesn't matter the success. It matters anchoring reality for the American public, and then they move.
And the mother would just be like, no, like, if it weren't for you spilling over that water bottle, your father wouldn't have beaten you. Oh my God, let me take a look at that wound. Your father has beaten you so hard. Your father has beaten you so hard. Oh my God, let me get some ointment for that scar, okay, that you have on your back from the beating. But you really should be more careful next time, okay? You really should be more careful next time, okay? I just don't want to see you beat again. But like, you should just be more careful to not spill water everywhere, because I can't stop him when he beats you, okay? Like that is the kind of mindfuckery that's going on. That's the kind of evil that's going on, okay?
Forward with it. Hence why we had Bush versus Gore.
Why if this was true, if the judiciary was so thoroughly compromised, as you say it is, then why have we seen the judiciary tell him that he had to withdraw national troops? Why has the judiciary told him that he couldn't do blanket tariffs in the way that he was doing? You know, like why have the courts blocked a number of his policies? Like big policies. If they were really that compromised and, you know, we're gearing up for the judiciary to go along with him stealing an election, then why are they doing these things right now?
So here's what I want to do. We're going to focus on something. Well, I'd like to focus on something because I think it's a good thing. The seizure of the election counting machines in Georgia is past the statute of limitations. Okay, it is not possible to bring this case. Okay, most federal crimes are 5 years, except for like murder and probably certain other things. It's past the statute of limitations. It's no longer possible to do this. But a judge signed off on it. So how? Because in your world, this shouldn't be possible to have happen, right? But a judge did it anyways for a voting machine in a state. And if that happened there, why would it not happen again?
He would have to seize. Do you understand how many fucking voting machines he would have to seize to steal these midterms? You understand? Like he would have to seize like literally thousands of voting machines.
I mean, only in a few certain districts, right?
Mommy, how do you know that father isn't gonna beat me again for spilling over water? I will be careful next time, Mommy, but I don't wanna spill water and then have Dad beat me again. It's okay, child. All right? Your dad won't be beating you anymore. Okay? Just be careful with the water. I promise you that your father is not gonna beat you. Okay, the next time that you spill water. Okay, I promise you. Okay, Mommy. And then after that, like they do actually get beat the next time they accidentally spill water over, right?
No, what are you talking about? Like these are midterms all over the country. He can't make up for, you know, like the losses that they will sustain by just focusing on like one or two jurisdictions. This would have to be like literally thousands of voting machines seized. And if that's really the case, then we are off to the...
Mommy, you promised that Daddy wouldn't beat me anymore. Well, honey, why did you spill the water then? Okay, Daddy wouldn't have beaten you if you haven't spilled the water, right? If only you had been more careful. Oh my God, you didn't even get any scars from this one. All right, you can be fine.
Racist
people will be clear. Okay, unless you think that like we're barely going to get the Senate if we get it in a delightful world. And what's the current amount of seats that we're supposed to be positive if things go to plan for the House?
I mean, nobody knows for sure, but it could be anywhere between like a 20, 30. It could be like it depends. Like if they continue on the current trend right now.
Plot twist: he takes out the bomb and child. I mean, like. Who knows? I have no idea.
It could be 30 plus seats, but I think realistic projections are between 20 and 30 seats.
I don't fucking know.
Okay,
I really have to fucking pee right now. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. 1 second.
I'm going to remember exactly.
Don't get me in trouble. Don't say anything. Don't.
Is it? Didn't he do this
Same
twice
thing,
now?
right?
What type of person do you think I am? All right, guys, you want to hear a joke?
No.
So a bear walks into a bar and says,
"Oh yeah, you can see me. You can see me right there." So I'm in the chat right now. I'm actually supportive of Dan here for once. Because I was watching actively during this period, and I was watching like this entire fuckery go down, and I actually commented that I was being supportive of him. So I just wanted to get that out there.
let me get a Jack and Coke. And the bartender looks at the bear and says,
Crazy plot twist.
what's with the big pause? And then the bear very introspectively looks down and holds up his paw. He says, I really don't know. There you go. That's your joke for you. One of my favorites. I think there's another bear joke that I tell as well. Hold on. I got a few, but I have to remember them. And not like the cringe one. Like, how does the panda bear say that he loves his wife every night? By saying, I love you very much. Not that one. We have better bear jokes than that.
See, so sometimes in the Shakespeare in the Shakespeare tragedy, he would have these like random fucking comedic moments and scenes in the tragedy in order to pad out the rest of the play and to make sure that it doesn't remain on sad notes forever. For example, in Macbeth, after Macbeth kills the king and stains his hands with blood and washes the hand with Lady Macbeth, okay? After he has done that, the morning afterwards, there's this like drunken fool who goes around and gets drunk and says a bunch of shit, and it's meant to be funny for that time, okay? And it is supposed to be funny for that time. The reason why Shakespeare included that is supposed to be like, oh, this is a small comedic moment, comic relief, right? That's where the term came from, right? Absolute cinema. That's what's going on right now, okay? This is the comic relief after one big tragic event, okay?
Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I successfully... No, I remember everything. Okay. I need to be... You need to understand that he doesn't need to do this all across the country, right? He just needs to pick up a certain amount of... He just needs to be the majority. That's it. He just needs to do it in one place. Or maybe two states.
No.
He doesn't even need a majority, by the way, okay? Like, everything that has happened from 2020... in 2016, okay, he didn't even win the popular vote, right? In 2020, Biden won, right? But you know, I don't even think he's just like, he doesn't even need a majority, dude. You just need enough people to coup and enough people to be complacent and be bystanders for Trump to win. All right,
that's enough.
No.
Okay.
For the Senate, sure. For the Senate, you could try to block the Senate, but not for the House. You would need more than 2 states.
All right. How many states does he need just to keep a majority?
Well, hang on. Just so we're clear. So how does this play out to you? Okay. So he says, we have evidence of a crime. We're going to take these voting machines and you're just not going to hold elections?
Oh, well, no, we're talking about a different thing here. Like, I think in this case, it'll be some shenanigans. Tulsi Gabbard will be there wearing a baseball cap in the background. Hard to say exactly how it'll go down.
Okay, so they just steal...
I'm not that evil to know.
So they just steal voting machines from heavily blue districts, but the rest of the votes...
not steal. There was a cyber attack by Venezuela. They were able to intercept it. Okay. Yeah, and they were able to... A lot of the votes added there were fake, okay? But anyone who did a paper ballot, that's okay. We're counting them now in the back and everything is fine.
If we had a group of 6 people, 2 people were good, 2 people were evil, and 3 are like Hutch level moderates, okay? If 2 of the bad guys begin to undermine the good guys, and 3 of the people just sit there and do nothing, like, we would argue that there is something bad being done here in the sense of, like, number 1, the 3 passive people are sitting around doing nothing, right? So that's a bad thing. It's not good to just be a bystander here, right? And in addition, the evil people are doing the evil things, so they're evil for doing that, right? Whatever, right? But yeah, like they don't need the majority, but 2 out of 6 is not a majority. But yet at the same time, 2 out of 6 can still go and fuck things up, right? Does that make sense? Like, yeah, like 3 moderates. Sorry, no, fuck. It's not 6. That's not 6 people. Holy shit, I'm so bad at math. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at math. Yeah. Oh wait, yeah, 2, 4. 7 people, okay? In my example, it's 7.
And so they would disenfranchise a bunch of like Democratic voters, but then the rest of the votes in that state would count. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I can't listen. You're asking me to tell you how they're going to steal the election, and the answer is I don't know. But I do know that they're smarter than me and they're smarter than you. And if there's a way to do it that they can get past, they will do it. And you're naive if you think that they won't try. And they won't do the sneakiest, most manipulative, evilest fucking plan.
They failed miserably in 2020.
Maybe they just want. Maybe
they failed miserably in 2020.
Things were different in that circumstance.
Well, I don't even know what that means.
Well, in that circumstance, they still had real people that thought that there was consequences for
Dan, you cannot unilaterally, we're looping here. The administration cannot.
You're right, because you think that Bill Barr is the same as what we have now, and it's not.
Even if you had Bondi back then, she would have been laughed out of court just the same. Instead of 60 court cases, maybe it would have been 200 court cases, but they would have been laughed out of court all the same, man.
I don't think so.
You seem to think that in the last 6 years, the judiciary has transformed so radically that even though they were not on board with his attempt to steal the 2020 election, the whole judiciary has transformed so profoundly that they all of a sudden would be
it's more dangerous now because he has a more sycophantic staff and he's learned from the lessons.
I take your point there. I don't disagree that the danger is technically higher, but still, at the end of the day, you're going to have to go through those courts, and the courts are not going to sign off on this.
But some are today, and I'm showing you that they are.
That will get appealed, and that will be expedited, and it would be resolved immediately.
Really? Not resolved right now? How long has it been? Let's see.
What's not resolved right now? What election are taking place? What do you mean?
What do you mean? They still contend the results of the 2020 election. What are you talking about? What's not resolved now? What's not resolved now is that half of the country still thinks Trump won the 2020 elections. What are you on about?
About the seizing of the election machine.
Dan, them taking the Georgia election machines is like, I agree with you, super alarming, really bad. It has no bearing.
It's illegal in every way possible. The federal government came in there. The federal government came in with no way to do this. Beyond the statute of limitations, and they basically dick slapped the state and took the fucking records.
Great, but that is not.
And you're like, they won't do that again.
No, Dan, this is something. These voting machines would be in the context of a current election that is like taking place. So them, whatever fuckery they did, and I'll just grant you that what they did, maybe it was illegal. Maybe like I don't know how they got a warrant signed. It does sound crazy. There's a lot of people asking like questions about this, but there's a difference between that, which is really really bad, I grant you, and preemptively, or I guess like DOJ showing up to a polling station and like seizing all these machines in the middle of something that's happening right now. Like, I'm not saying,
this is not fair because I'm not saying that they're going to do that. I'm using it as an example to say that they don't care what the laws are right now. Okay. That's what I'm saying.
Listen, if they really do like try what you're suggesting,
because you're falling back too much on the courts won't allow it, and I'm saying yeah they will. Look,
listen,
and you're like, well that doesn't matter.
If they really do try what you're suggesting, then we are like beyond a constitutional crisis. But I think they will ultimately lose that fight. He does not have the kind of he would get cooed by the fucking military, by his own military, even after these purges. Before he would before they would ever.
I don't even know if that's even true. Didn't Pete Hegseth like go around to all the generals and shit asking whether or not they're going to be loyal to Trump? Wasn't that literally a thing? If that is what he's doing out in the open, how do you know he's not trying to secure the loyalty of the generals in private? Guys, I think this is insane. I think this is actually unhinged. Okay? Pete Hegseth is literally going around trying to secure the loyalty of the generals. What do you think they're planning? What do you think they're doing that for? They're testing the waters to see if a military coup would be successful.
Or let him get along with something like that. They didn't literally like get rid of every single possible general. Do you think the generals feel good about having to serve underneath fucking Pete Hegseth, by the way? Do you think they're fucking thrilled about that?
Dude, Pete Hegseth is still going around trying to convince them to turn. What are you on about?
That fucking clown. These people are like serious academics who've dedicated
Doesn't even matter if he's a clown, if he's going around doing it. It's already unfathomable, the fact that he's doing it in the first place, right?
their entire careers to, fidelity to the Constitution and protecting the homeland, and you think they feel good about serving under Pete fucking Hegseth? Like, I just don't think
some of them absolutely don't. But I think that there's also been loyalists that have been moved around inside of the military.
Sure. I mean,
I think that if you're saying like, are they going to do it? Well, I don't know. We stole a fucking president, and now we're at war with Iran, and we just did that as if, like, fuck it, let's YOLO. I think maybe the military just wants to fucking do military shit, and that's all they care about. They've been waiting their whole life to do a war. Now they get to do it.
If we get past the midterms and none of this fuckery plays out in the way that you think, and maybe he tries some things, maybe he doesn't, but we get past the midterms and the Democrats take back control of the Congress, are you gonna feel better?
If we take back Congress and the Senate?
Well, yeah.
I
mean, even if we just take back the House,
wait, hold on. I'll feel better for sure. Okay, dude, trust me. I'll feel better on any election win. Okay, this is a non-issue. Stop. This is not a real question. Okay, I will feel better on any election win. Okay, but that's still not the best result that I'm hoping for. Okay, that's still not the best result that I'm hoping for, because the best result is correcting the record and changing the soul of the country. Right? Is convincing enough people that there's something really fucked up going on here and we need to fix it, okay? That would be the ultimate victory. The ultimate victory is correcting the record once and for all and reflecting upon this and asking ourselves, what can we do? What laws and reforms can we pass to prevent Trump from happening again? That is the ultimate victory. The ultimate victory isn't just securing Congress, okay? That's a very short-sighted view of things.
If we just take back the House.
My fear of what's going to happen.
But yeah, of course I'll feel better after that happens, right? I'll be delusional to say that, you know what, that doesn't make me feel better, because it does, right?
If Democrats do take back, let's just say both the best case scenario, we take back the Senate and the House. My fear is that we will see a leftist bubble form up that will refuse to do anything for the Democrats unless they sign on to fucking insane shit, and nothing will happen the same.
I don't know if I share that kind of sentiment. I don't know if okay, I disagree with Dan on this one. Okay, but
leftist bubble in Congress, you mean, or what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly, right. So essentially, like, if Democrats have enough power to push something crazy that they're going to.
Progressive left are probably in like one of the weakest positions right now, like over the past like 20 years. I don't know about that one.
Start essentially.
Like literally, we like people have began rolling back the trans people narratives. Like the progressive left is not going strong right now in any way. Otherwise, we'll be hearing a lot more about trans people. Trust me.
Ending, like, you want us to vote with you this way, then you have to also say that you have to include this in the bill as well, $40 minimum wage or something like that. I think that will happen, and I'll slow down progress a lot.
Well,
no, I don't think so.
That didn't happen in 2018. Didn't happen in 2020. Didn't happen in 2022. It's not happening now. I mean, it's possible. It's possible, but I mean,
on what's happened in the past. Neither can you. It's a new day.
Do you think that like the squad would stop the Democratic Party from holding this administration accountable if they didn't like push for $15 an hour? This is completely detached from reality, Dan. That is so far. That is so outside the boundaries of like anything that is even possible. There's no indication that something like that would
because
happen.
you're making it very broad. If it was as simple as that, but it's never as simple as that, right? So I'm saying like I'm saying that when Democrats, if they get power and they're trying to do things, I think that you will see fringe points of it demanding things to go along with the party. Yeah, I do think that you will see that.
I mean, listen, the fringies are on the ropes, man.
I just want to say this debate is absolute cinema. Okay, this debate is everything I could ask for and more. Okay. This debate is absolute cinema. All right. I love this debate. Okay. Just want to say that real quick.
They're not doing great right now. The only hope they have in 2028 is AOC, and it's not even clear that she's going to run for president. So like, there's nothing right now. I suppose if I entertain your worst case possible scenario, then, it's possible theoretically. There's no indication that anything like that is brewing right now. What Donald Trump has done for the Democratic Party, this is one silver lining of the Trump era, is he has ushered in an unprecedented era of cohesion. So even though there's these ideological differences in the party, they have been uniformly, like almost uniformly, for the most part, like opposed to the administration. Like they've worked together to get Biden's agenda passed. They worked together to hold Trump accountable during the first term and do impeachment stuff. And, like there's just no sign of this happening. There's like no sign. Every time I try to inject some little bit of hopium in your veins, Dan, you hit me immediately with just like literally the worst case scenario. And I'm
hitting you with what's.
That's not, oh my God. And you're not hitting us with the worst case scenario whenever we want to do something? Give me a break.
Happening today. And you're like, well, that's
no, hang on. But that is not happening today. Like,
again, the example of the seizing of the voting machine. There's no cause to do it. It's past the statute of limitation. Flat out illegal, but a state judge signed off on it. I need an explanation for how this happened.
I'm not privy to these details. I can't tell you like how he did that.
Main answer is I'm not prepared at this time to answer that question. But
I am not prepared at this time to answer that question. I mean, literally, I don't know enough about that.
You don't know how a RBKM reactor explodes. I know. Yeah, that's I think the issue that we're we're at right now. Is you're like they're not going to do wild shit, and I know
That's
they're going to do
fine.
wild shit, but I'm not
Sure,
smart enough
that's
to know the
fine.
wild shit that they're going to do. Is the problem?
They can try, but listen, I've just in the last 10 years, I have seen this president operate with an unprecedented level of corruption and criminality, and but I've also seen the system constrain him in very, very meaningful ways. I think this guy, if you gave him absolute power, he would fucking just like, there would be death camps. There would be fucking death camps in this country. I'm not even, he would arrest people for, like having this conversation that you and I are having right now. It would be like V for Vendetta. The fucking door would get kicked down. Somebody would black bag us, throw us in a fucking car. Like I do think that he has his instincts and his ego are so big.
There's still some. Yes, I agree.
And the fact that that's not happening right now is a testament to like our system. Like our system is girthy and it is meaty and it is.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That is not happening right
now. There's a quote from DS9, all right, that I watched today. Okay. I don't know why I'm doing this, okay, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a quote, and the quote is, when you study evil, evil studies you. Now, I have no idea how applicable that is in this specific debate, but I'm saying it anyway because it sounds cool, okay?
now because too many people would be offended. But the problem is not enough people were offended when we were racially profiling people walking on the street and sending them to fucking El Salvador CCOT prison.
What do you mean? There's this level. We've never seen this many protests during a presidency. We've never seen this much.
Bro, and where did these protests? Oh, hold on. I'm sorry, but were the biggest protests in the world not the BLM riots in 2020? Are the biggest protests not the 2020 BLM stuff? And what kind of results did we get from that? Size of the protest matters not, right? Size of the protests matter not.
Voter engagement, again,
he does as much as he can get away with each time. That's
obviously.
And people sign off on it, right? Initially, they sign off on it. People fly the planes. People at the airport give them clearance to take off. People at the jail hand over it to the guy. What I'm saying,
I understand. And then Mahmoud Khalil ends up on a plane back in the United States. So
but the damage is done. What I'm
I
saying
get that,
is that
but we can't do anything about that, Dan.
Okay, can you imagine like Hutch telling Mahmoud Khalil's family, hey, by the way, okay, it sucks that you got bagged and tortured, okay, but hey, look on the bright side. We're going to pass reforms against this in 50 years.
Disagree. That's where we disagree. You do things by having the proletariat not go along with the king's orders.
Wait, are you a leftist?
You do that? No.
Okay, I'm just...
Hutch, the landlord, business owner guy, leftist, lost his mind. He has fully lost his mind now.
All right.
Not at all.
Look, if you can find a way to get, obviously you're friends with Steven. He has a massive platform, much, much bigger than mine. It's not just up to politicians. It's not just up to politicians. You don't need politicians to stir up a movement of, patriotic civilians that would, take to the streets and use various methods to pressure politicians to do these things. Like you guys can start doing that right now without politicians, trying to get the public to be more engaged and more informed.
That's an unfair answer. I'm telling you, I'm witnessing crazy stuff and we're acknowledging it happening around us. And why aren't you at the soup kitchen? Well, maybe this is the most good that I can do right now is talking with you about it as opposed to going out there and handing out soup to people. I understand that logic,
sure.
but right? But
well, I mean, I'm just gonna call it how it is, right? Like that was an ad hom attack, right? Like I'm not gonna pretend like that wasn't an ad hom attack. That was 100% an ad hom attack, right? Like if you say like, oh yeah, like why aren't you going out there and actually doing something? Yeah, that's an ad hom attack, right? Like that has not an ad hom attack. Sorry, fuck me. That has to be another form of attack. Fuck me, never mind.
These guys are very smart. They're very sneaky. They're very fucking evil. And I don't think that we can count on countering something we don't know that's coming. They have a plan, I'm sure, for the midterms. Very smart people that are willing to bend or break or completely forego laws and rules are coming up with plans to win the midterms.
There's an ocean rising in this country, and they can't stop it. They might try. They might try, but they can't stop it.
They will try. And my concern is the only way to slow it down or to prevent it from happening is to make them feel that the guy that's going to put the ammo in the boxes that's going to get sent to the other country is scared to do it because it's illegal. That's like a War Dogs reference here. But essentially, it needs loyalty. People, what was this from? It was something where essentially people watched a lot of crimes happening because people saw the crimes happening and no one else did anything. And that's it. And I think that
I see, when I look at the country, Dan, I see an electorate that is engaged at a level that is truly unprecedented in the modern era, like heading into midterms. I see voter turnout is jacked to the fucking tits. I see an electorate that is voicing their disgust and protesting more than any other administration ever in the fucking history of the republic.
Which is why it's going to be so sad when Trump rolls out fucking Order 66 and a bunch of senators get fucking sent into space or something by accident. And whoops, well, sorry, we got to redo these ones.
I mean, we have
that'll be really sad when that happens.
Dan, we have I think it's 6 months or 7.
Americans are lazy ass motherfucker. They didn't take to the streets in the tens of millions when this sitting president for president tried to overthrow the republic. Why the fuck would they do it over stolen midterms? They wouldn't.
Or 8 months. 8 months until these midterms.
This is why I keep repeating how Hutch fundamentally doesn't even agree on the current on the current state of the nation. Okay, this is what I mean by it just seems like he's just living in delusion. He's not living. It just doesn't feel like Hutch is living in reality.
Okay, and so there's not really a lot of time to execute on this plan that you're proposing here. And we can talk about things maybe as they should be in your mind, and strategies that are being wasted or not being pursued aggressively enough, and all that's well and good, but we both exist in the world as it is, and right now that is like none of those things are happening, and I don't think you're going to persuade people like Keith Ellison to to do these like purely symbolic fights that I would argue don't really amount to anything and don't actually dissuade the administration.
I can't believe you say that. I think it's so meaningful to try and hold people up and down the line of Trump's administration responsible today.
Not in the way that you're
scares the fuck out of them.
No, but not in the way.
If we don't have accountability, we can't have a liberal democracy, okay? This is why I think that Hutch is not a true liberal, okay? Because he is saying that it is okay to simply forego accountability because of the consequences from the Republicans punishing us. But we can't have that, okay? Because without accountability, what are we, right? We're nothing.
That you're proposing. Why would they be afraid of,
because they know Trump can't pardon them. They can't, they're like, these guys are coming after all my real estate that I have in New York. This sucks. Fuck, I can't do anything.
That's probably a genuine issue, like he might be having. Okay, like Dan probably has that actual issue, actual fucking top 1% issue.
This really sucks. Trump, can you do anything? Sorry, that's state court.
We have former Doge employees right now that are being sued and they're being deposed, and some of these videos are showing up on the internet right now. And so do you think that's really meaningfully stopping this administration from being corrupt or dissuading them from executing on some grand scheme to literally steal the midterms in a way that's never been done before in the history of the republic? It would amount to the end of America. I mean, that would be it. I mean, if he literally did that, then he's never leaving office. He would dissolve the courts, he would dissolve the Congress. That's the only logical through line. Because where else do you go from there? If you literally steal elections like that, that is what we're talking about here. And so
what do you mean?
If he literally did that, if he took such extreme measures to steal the midterms to prevent the Democrats from winning majorities in Congress, then at that point he's already crossed the line that he's never going to uncross. He's never going to leave office at that point. He'll
I agree.
The courts will tell him no, and if he ignores them, then that's it.
I'm not sure that's the case, by the way.
But the courts are going to tell him no?
If you want that to be something I take for granted, you have to explain to me how the court gave him the ability to seize a voting machine past the statute of limitations. Something they should have never been able to do in the statute of limitations.
And you would have to explain to me, what evidence you have that the judiciary as it is right now, what have they shown you so far that would indicate that they would be willing to go along with Donald Trump just stealing the midterms, just disenfranchising millions of people?
I mean, it's like that one commenter in my chat said, right? They didn't even come out to protest for against January 6th and them doing the fucking Michigan slate electric shit. Why the fuck would they ever do that, right?
Because I have plenty of evidence to show you that the courts have checked Trump meaningfully on so many things, and I don't understand.
Yeah, but the courts can't do any. They cannot. Oh my god, this is another fucking guys. This is another MAGA argument. Did you guys notice this? Did you guys notice that Hutch pulled another MAGA? You guys saw the same thing I did, right? You guys noticed the same thing I did, right? Because it's also another MAGA talking point. It's another MAGA talking point for them to say that, oh yeah, the courts are holding Trump back. So why are you worrying about so many things? The courts are holding Trump back, so you shouldn't worry so much. It's another massive MAGA excuse, right? Another MAGA lying. I think it's terrifying that somebody that we would typically call a strong ally like Hutch. I'm not gonna lie, I think you're being a little unhinged on Hutch right now, and I kind of get where you're coming from, but you're really deep already, so kind of hard to step back. I don't know, man. I feel like all the arguments he's presenting is so MAGA. I don't know. Am I delusional? Am I delusional? Fuck me.
Why would they even be checking him on these things if the plan is to just fucking steal the midterms?
Well, the plan only works if you don't tell people about it until it's too late, would be the first thing I would say.
So you're saying that they're all pretending to be reasonable now and pretending to check him now.
It's a very in the know thing, but if you were going to do it, if you were a statistician on this is how you would do it. If you actually wanted to steal an election, you would make it look like you were a bunch of fucking morons and you didn't know what's going on and you're going to do some dumb ploy and not know, but actually you're a fucking gigachad. You make it seem like you have a weak hand the whole time and you would kind of...
Hutch is clearly arguing Trump was stopped from doing this, and you're taking it to mean Hutch is okay with Trump doing this, but that's literally what he's arguing for, right? So just to be clear, okay, with the Democrats, it's what they should do, okay? But with the Republicans, it's what they could do, all right? When Dan brings up the Dominion voting machines being seized, Hutch then backs it up and says well, I mean, they could technically do that, right? We're talking about the guardrails of democracy being held up by the courts, right? Okay, so when it comes to the courts, it seems as though that, yeah, the courts are preventing Trump from doing so, but then at the same time, there's direct evidence against that, right? In the sense of Supreme Court literally giving a jurisdictional immunity to Trump right? When he's acting within the office of the presidency, okay? So then we ask, okay, what can we do about that? Then Hutch pushes back and says, nothing. We can't do anything about it because just in case the Republicans retaliate and just in case that we are overextending and breaking rules in this liberal institution, we can't do anything about it. To me, at the very least, when he says something like this along the lines of everything else in the greater context, to me, he is making the MAGA argument. Does that make sense? Does my argument make sense? Yeah, anyway.
Hold your cards loosely so they can see, oh, he has a queen, but the whole time you actually had fucking pocket aces up your sleeve. That's how you would do it.
They're playing the long game.
Democrats feel comfortable.
They're playing the long game. You know, the Supreme Court would be, you know, I guess they were doing that back in 2020 when they didn't let him steal the election. You know, they're playing the long game. They were really rated.
Hutch isn't making those arguments within this convo though, at least never during my time listening for like an hour or so. Okay, well, I mean, like I did listen to him within the greater context of things. And in addition to that, like I think that he is making MAGA talking points, right? So if he makes like previous MAGA talking points, like why would I not believe that he's gonna make future MAGA talking points? Am I saying that Hutch is like MAGA? No, I don't think so, right? I think that Hutch is still liberal, but I think that he's just been raped by MAGA so hard to the point where he can't think straight anymore, right? It's like somebody who needs to get over their PTSD in order to like think clearly again about the whole situation. I don't know. If he was saying that in this combo alongside these points, no, your position would be pretty reasonable in that case. Okay, maybe, but we'll see. Okay,
waiting for the 2026 midterms to execute
the support.
To execute on. Listen, when we get past these midterms, and we will have these midterms, and when the Democrats take over, and they will take over,
you have to.
Ben was so firm on the fact that the guardrails will hold. Like again, this isn't some kind of like this isn't some kind of like really crazy like thing, is it? Like to me at the very least, like I think it's obvious. I think it's obvious that that there is this very staunch like sense of, you know what, I give up, whatever, man.
Are you gonna for him to do stuff is different
when this happens, right? When this happens, Dan, are you gonna move the goalpost?
His VP, no, because it's not fair. His VP wasn't with him. His AG wasn't with him. This is a different world. But you can't say it's the same. It's completely different.
When we get past these midterms, and we're gonna have midterms. He's not gonna stop what's coming. There's gonna be a blue wave. It's gonna be brutal. When this happens and we get past this, are you going to shift the goalpost? Are you going to join me in thinking maybe that there are enough patriots in control of this country, and maybe, just maybe, we're going to get on the other side of this whole Trump thing?
Trump himself is not what concerns me. It's Stephen Miller and the people that
dork.
You fail to understand the power. Stephen Miller is.
Hutch seems to be responding to Dan's position that Trump will succeed in subverting the election, not that he might try, will try, not that there is a risk he could succeed. Will? Wait, but then the courts making the guardrails hold is not a correct response to that, right? Then his response to that makes no sense. Like, you realize that, right? Like, that's not a proper response.
Worth 100 fucking good, faring, law-abiding Democrats.
How's it working out for Republicans right now, though? How's it working out for them?
Well, I don't know. They're in fucking office. They're sending fucking brown people to places they shouldn't be. It seems like it's working pretty good. Their Project 25 looks like they're crossing off a lot of the fucking items.
I don't understand though. Like, if you're saying that they're willing to go to such extraordinary lengths to steal the midterms in the way that you seem to be like very much convinced that they're going to do, I don't understand why. But I don't understand why they would have allowed the fucking bloodbath that's been taking place all over the country for the last year. You know, like why would they allow any of that? Really?
It literally could be part of the plan, unironically. Like, it could be fatigue. You get enough people talking about stolen election. You get enough people saying, oh, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing, that by the time, everyone's watching this hand, and by the time the elections come, they do something else. No one thought about it. No one talked about it, and it's over.
Well, listen, I can't seem to, I don't want to try to persuade you because you seem immovable on this, and that's
I'm not immovable. I just want you to do it. You should acknowledge that someone like Stephen Miller is worth 100 good Democrats. As far as getting shit accomplished, getting things done, absolutely. He's not a dork. He's a fucking force of evil.
No,
he is fucking Voldemort.
He's evil, but he's not Machiavellian. He thinks he's like, every time he goes out there in front of the media and tries to make the case, he just ends up making the administration look worse. He's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to stop like what is happening across the country in terms of like voters showing up and taking power from them. Is he evil? And do you think
that Roger Stone is a more effective politician than Dan Goldman?
More effective politician or a political operative, or like just more efficient or effective in politics?
I guess I would say, as far as imposing his will into the reality of where we are today,
I think Roger Stone is competent in ways that Stephen Miller is not. I think you're gassing up Stephen Miller as some evil genius, but I don't think that guy's a genius. I think. Oh, you're muted, by the way.
Oh, sorry. There's a lot of Roger Stones. We can use him then. That's fine. Like, Roger Stone is just, to me, like, there's so many more of them on the other side.
Well, we got a lot of like Norm Eisens though, who have experience arguing Supreme Court cases against this administration and winning. And so it's not like the Democrats don't have anybody on our bench to like fight them in the courts.
We're playing.
Dan brought up the voting machine thing to infer that Trump would do that, but on a much larger, extreme, and large scale to subvert the election. Yeah, and like how did Hutch make a valid answer to that?
Monopoly, and they're fucking throwing the cards on the floor.
Like I don't think it's out of the question that like Trump would do something like that. No?
And being like, we got to start over. And then your mom is like, yeah, you got to start over. I don't know where all the pieces were. Like, you don't get it. It's different. It's another world.
I don't know.
Listen,
like, they are obviously pushing things way further during the second administration. No one would fight you on that. But the idea that they're totally unconstrained and they're literally tossing out all the rules when he still has to get bills passed through Congress. He still has to, get them to sign off on a budget. He still has to deal with, he doesn't, I understand that because, listen, I don't know what your media diet is. Maybe you're listening to too much Stephen, but like this administration has been checked.
Twisted, just like, again, oh, you're too terminally online. Oh my God.
And in very meaningful ways, like a number of times.
But they've also been...
I just wonder if this happened through a court process, which is on its own would make Dan's extrapolation invalid, but he gives more. Wait, what? But that goes against Hutch's argument, though, right? Because Hutch is saying that the court will hold up the institutions behind democracy, but then you're saying, and Hutch is saying, is that it's because of the courts that Trump was able to do the things that he was able to do, which indicates that they allowed Trump to do things that are heinous and evil, right? That makes, that goes against your argument, no?
Unchecked on
but
many ways.
Not in anything even. Not in anything.
The Fetterman's going along with them too.
Not
even on those.
No, we did. Even if Fetterman didn't go along, we don't have the power to stop them from doing stuff. Like we just don't. 99.
We're doing it anyways. We're willingly doing it.
Willingly.
Hitler and Trump literally held rallies, okay, outside of their election seasons, okay? This is literally, like, not the point, but he points out that it was after an election, which would make Dan's extrapolation absurd. And points out the scale required on those that would be extremely far out of bounds. We're just gonna agree to disagree, okay? If you want to argue about this with me, then hop into voice chat. Okay?
Wait, what? No, wait, what?
Like going to the War Powers Act, right? That was done. Like Democrats didn't have to sign on to that. We did anyways.
Yeah, there was a number of them that did that, but I'm just saying like the vast majority of Democrats have been like unified in opposition to this president, and that's gonna continue. And we're gonna fucking harass the shit out of them when we take back the House and the Senate. We're gonna fucking impeach members of the cabinet. We're gonna impeach him again. We're gonna bog them down in controversy, and we're gonna make life miserable for these fucking guys, and they're all gonna lose their jobs one by one. They're all dropping like flies. And they really can't stop what's coming. And so, like, I don't think I can convince you, and I accept that now. But if we do get past these midterms,
you take nothing away from what I said. It's just you can't convince me. I'm delusional and doomered. But
I don't think you're. Look, I don't think that. I think you have every right to be like very vigilant. That's
because I see it happening today.
I know that's why I'm saying you have every right. I'm saying you have every right to be very vigilant about what could happen. I'm not saying that that's wrong or irrational. I do think that you are like very resigned to the absolute worst case scenario happening. When I look at the situation, the dynamic in this country, I see a presidency that is crumbling. I see a Republican Party that is sinking like very fast. And I don't think they have the juice to overcome that.
This sounds to me like a cornered cat that will do anything to avoid losing everything. And there's a lot of people that stand to lose despite the pardons and everything else if this goes south.
Well, listen, I can't tell you for sure that this stuff's not going to happen. So if you're just going to do like, well, what if this happens? This is going to happen. This is going to happen.
But
none of us know the future. And
hold on. This is not fair because I can point to what's happening today and you just keep going, well, it's going to be different. That one doesn't count.
I'm pointing to things that are happening today. I'm pointing to the ways that this administration has been constrained. And you keep going back to, well, it doesn't look that way.
I agree. You can't go kill every Democrat right now.
Trying to present plausible mechanism. I give up, okay? Just enter the voice chat, okay? My brain is not working at this hour, okay?
Sure, they're constrained. They can't do that. But then
please let me hate on Dan. Not hate on Dan. Hate on Hutch.
Say
okay?
They're seizing a voting machine past the statute of limitations when they don't have the authorization to do it, and a judge signed off on it. And you're like, well, that won't happen again. Or that's not going to happen in bulk.
They would have to seize a lot of voting machines.
That's not an answer to that. They just seized. Do you think it was just one that they seized? They seized a lot of votes. A lot of votes got seized.
If we are really in that territory,
we are. You see it. You just happened.
If we're already there, if we're already there, and this is already predetermined, they're going to do this. Then nothing you're suggesting is going to stop that from happening. Nothing you're suggesting is going to. You don't think that you would be able? Hang on, Dan. Do you know how many people work in the DOJ? It's thousands of people, right? You're telling me that with your strategy, you could prevent like enough of them from acting on these orders to like stop this deal from happening?
Enough. Let me ask you.
You're not going to. No. If they've already decided that they're going to do this, if they've already decided they're going to do this, they'll send in the military. Like if the DOJ.
Hold on. The military is with your. Stop. That's incorrect. The military is with Trump. Hence, by the fact why they do his illegal shit right now.
That's what I'm saying.
That notwithstanding, do you know why when politicians are trying to rally their base to come out and vote for them, they don't say, guys, we're fucking behind, man. I really need you guys to get everyone out to vote. We're behind, guys. We're hold on, let me finish. We're 5% behind. You know why? Because if you are in a position of weakness, you lose everyone. That's why everyone's always winning. I need you. Stay home.
I need you to help me make sense of something, okay? Because there's something that is just like gnawing at me right now. If it's true that they've already devised this surefire scheme, nothing's going to stop them or whatever, then why do any of these people who are, who would potentially face consequences, the likes of which you're trying to make happen?
Just drop. Can I just reach out later? It's just too long of a conversation to be had like over fucking chat and streamer. I'm not Asmongold, okay? Like I can't have an entire argument with like a chatter, like in between YouTube chat, okay? Like if you're gonna get in here, then get in here. But I just hate trying to read someone's chat and then trying to interpret what they're saying and then trying to go back and forth. Okay, I would rather just like talk and get it over with. Hello, my food. Hello, Timu. Timu Sincon. What the hell? On Twitch, thank you.
Why would they give a fuck?
Yeah, like,
we're gonna steal the election. Who cares if they fucking sue me or try criminal charges?
I'm glad you're asking that, because this is important to understand. Because any plan, as you're saying, will be large, requires the masses to look out the window and say, huh, yeah, that's normal. But it won't be normal if people start taking action today. That's the difference. It requires this. Like the example I was just giving you of why politicians don't say we're behind, we really need you to come out and vote, is because it's like, oh, it's fucking over, it's done. But when Trump comes out, we're winning so big. I'm telling the elderly people, don't even come out to vote. We got it so big. We're gonna win. It's so huge. The reason that you do that, and that becomes
he's not doing that though.
When that becomes the feeling that everyone has, everyone's like, yeah, I'm gonna go along with this. Trump's gonna win. Trump won.
He's not doing that.
I'm safe here. But if you don't feel like you're safe, if you feel like the person who authorized the judge who authorized this warrant on the voting machine is in jail now.
But Dan, he's not doing that.
Then you're like, shit, I'm not doing this.
But Dan, he's not doing that now. He's going out there and saying,
how recently? Like this was just
very recently. He's going.
Things changed in the last week. Then
I don't know what you're referring to, but there are so many clips of Donald Trump saying, that the midterms look a little dodgy or hinting to as much. And every Republican, literally every Republican at this point, has come out and said, like, man, the midterms are not looking great. They are not operating with they're not signaling or telegraphing any kind of nefarious thing. They do not look comfortable. They do not look like, oh, we got this. We got Order 66, so we're gonna be fine. They're resigning en masse. They're resigning.
66 requires the soldiers to go along with it, right?
But Dan,
it requires that.
But Dan,
they need to think that this whole thing isn't going to collapse. When you see the vice president, like we saw in 2020, like you keep bringing up, when we see Pence, when you see Pence, like, I'm sorry, I'm not with Trump, he's gone. When you see his attorney general, I'm not with him, he's gone, he's crazy. Yeah, it's easy to not have support of the people. But when everyone in the government is like, this is fine, I'm the Department of Justice, it's good. The vice president, yep, this is good. When everyone's saying it's good, it's different.
But we're already seeing a record level of protests in this country. So many of the largest protests that have taken place in this country throughout our entire nation's history have happened during this term, Dan. So like this.
Has got away with murdering 2 people, lol. Who knows what other shit he could run away with because of Dems like Hutch? Yeah, that's the scary part, right? Evil requires an accomplice. The accomplice is apathetic good people, right? Evil requires an accomplice. The accomplice are good people who has given up.
Yeah.
And if the situation is as you describe it as.
And even worse is when, the good people who has given up are trying to convince themselves that they haven't given up, or are actually doing the right thing. That's probably the most dangerous part. Then
nothing that you're going to do is going to dissuade them, Dan. They're going to try to do this thing.
I disagree on that part.
You say he has the support of the military. What the fuck does he care about, like, prosecuting ICE agents in Minnesota? If he really has the support of the military and they're going to go along with his plan to like selectively disenfranchise, blue districts in this state or that state or this state, then we are fucked. And like nothing that you're doing right now is going to stop that from happening. I could play the worst case scenario game right back at you in this spot and just be like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. It's, if we're that fucked, that's not going to work.
You can't, because any plan to do something.
Hutch said the Republicans aren't signaling anything nefarious. Does he think they're Bond villains who tell you their evil plan? Good point.
Requires.
Why the fuck would they tell you anyway?
Public support, and also
like we're lucky that Trump fucking airs out so much shit that they're planning, right? We are actually just straight up lucky that that they make it like sound so obvious, right? On what they do, right? But we're lucky. But that's the issue, is that we're lucky. How much luck do you think we have before we run out of that? Should we just always rely on Trump to tell us their master plans on like a national stage? Or do you think that there's already things set in motion, like Project 2025, stuff that will just like go past us, right? Things that we won't even pay attention to.
A belief that everyone else is aligned with it. Like that's when governments topple, when there's a critical mass and people are like, oh, no one actually is supporting this guy anymore.
I promise you, buddy. If he fucking shows up with fucking Pam Bondi and Tulsi Gabbard and seizes voting machines like on the day of the election or the day before the election, we think the Venezuelans are doing whatever.
I mean, he's not going to do it, and it'll be clever, and it'll be sneaky, and I don't know what it is, but maybe there'll be an attack. Maybe he'll say there's a cyber attack.
Well, you can't subtly. I mean, whatever it is, you can't subtly like disenfranchise millions of people. And so if he does that, you don't really
need to do millions, do you? You just need to do enough to win.
Does he even need to be subtle? He's been public on the books, literally talking about how mail-in votes are a bunch of scams and how the 2020 election results are invalid. And he's going on air on Twitter to talk about rallying at the Capitol. Like, what are you talking about? Are you? Oh my God!
He does.
I have to make sure what I'm listening to is correct. Oh shit! No, I didn't mean to.
Not voters. They don't like the Epstein stuff. They don't like the
access to the machines themselves and understand and reverse engineer it and really see what they're dealing with, so that they can do. If that doesn't happen, if there is no big look, they stole the election, I can prove it here. What then? Why did they take?
Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna place us like 20 minutes before. Okay,
if that doesn't happen. What if it's just quietly one of those things? Well, I guess we didn't find anything and gave it back.
Fuck me.
Well, at that point, I mean, I doubt Georgia or Fulton County, because that's a
blue. They just gave it to the guy.
But that's a blue district. That's a blue district. They can just order a new different voting machine, or they can just decide.
Isn't that mandated by the state, not the city?
I don't know. I don't know. But like,
these are questions that we need, me and you, because I don't want to make it seem like you don't know, because I don't know either. But these are things that we need to have understandings of, because it's tremendously important to understand how this works. There is no mechanism for us to know that this was stolen at all. Especially if you cast your fucking vote for the blue, and it says blue on your screen.
I just told you. You're saying that our systems. You're saying that our systems are not secure enough. But okay. But I just told you this is how you verify that there was not massive fraud. You have we have legal. We talked about it 1,000 times. You have a group that sues the county or sues the state and says, we think there's evidence of fraud, and then there's like they have recourse to.
Yeah, they have a recourse to look at the data. They have
the
recourse. Yes, but what you're missing here is they can't audit the individual votes. All they can audit is that the number in the database and the number of paper ballots, they say 300D, 200R. And as long as those match up, that's it. They can't say, Dan Saltman, did he vote for R or for D? Or they can't. They can't do that. That's not possible.
For full recounts. For full recounts, they absolutely do that. They count it publicly. I told you, they count it publicly. They hold it up and say, hold on, let me just read what the process is.
You just read the thing that says that they can't do it because that could involve coercing people to vote a specific way.
I just looked it up. I can just... You want me to tell you?
You just read it. You don't need to look it up again.
No, I didn't read how audits work. I just want to read how audits work.
So they can coerce you, but only for a certain amount of time?
Can I just read how audits work? Because I feel like that would help the conversation. So there's pre-audit preparation. Election officials define the audit's objectives, select which contests or precincts will be examined, and prepare the ballot manifest and tally sheets. Clear objectives and documentation practices are emphasized as essential for transparency and accountability. Number 2, selecting the sample. Depending on state law, the audit may use a fixed percentage of precincts, a tiered approach, or a risk-limiting audit, which uses statistical methods to determine how many ballots must be checked, confirm the outcome with high confidence. Number 3, public audit section. Audits are conducted in public view. Officials often begin with a presentation explaining the process so observers can understand what will happen and why. Number 4, generating a random seed. To ensure transparency and prevent manipulation, the random selection of ballots is done publicly, often by rolling dice to generate a long random number or seed used to select ballot samples. Number 5, hand counting or reviewing ballots. Auditors manually inspect the selected paper ballots or voter verified paper records. The goal is to compare the human interpretation of the votes with the machine reported results. Number 6, comparing results and expanding if needed. If discrepancies exceed allowable thresholds, the audit expands to include more ballots. Number 7, documenting findings. Number 8, post-audit actions. So like this what
you've said doesn't mean anything. Like I don't mean to be crass about it, but the fundamental issue is that no part in there lets you cross-reference Hutch to D.
Well, Dan, it seems like listen.
Wait, hold on.
You cracked the code, Dan. You've cracked the code.
That's not fair.
This is something that is alluded.
You're going straight to the end because you don't have an answer. So you're saying you're schizo now. That's not fair.
Dan, you don't. I'm not saying you're schizo. I'm saying you've cracked the code. Okay. There have been many corrupt politicians throughout U.S. history that would have loved the ability to just manipulate votes and change votes and disenfranchise people in this kind of way.
But they were afraid of doing it.
But nobody could figure out how to do it until today because Dan Saltman, you just figured it out.
That's unfair.
They should hire you. I'm saying Trump should hire you and bring you on because you're
placating me. Listen, when you vote, and I thought this was the case, but I wasn't sure. When you vote, okay, you're going there. First off, they verify you can vote, and then you go to the machine and you press, it says, okay, are you allowed to vote? You are, and then you vote. And then essentially, once you've left in that machine, it just knows that you voted, but it does not say who you voted for or against, okay? It doesn't. So now when you do these audits in the future, all it can know is that out of that machine, when I press the D button, I don't get to see it, okay? I don't get to see the D when I press my D. I'm voting D, I'm pressing D. Out of the machine, 2 things happen. 1, the machine itself may store that a D is in the database now at a certain time, a D was pressed, and it will spit out a paper ballot out the back saying D, okay? Those are 2 things that can happen, but I can't verify either of them. So when you're talking about these audits that happen at the end, if I can't verify that a D was stored in the database and that a D was printed out of the machine, it doesn't matter what audit happens afterwards because at the end of the day, they're auditing results that were manipulated from the start, and there's no way to check that.
So listen, I just did a new prompt. How do election auditors and recounters determine if there was something like voting machine manipulation? Can I read this?
Yes.
I feel like we're both learning something. Okay, so hand counting.
That's not hard because I'm very stupid, so. I'm stupid, not you.
I mean, I'm learning. I didn't necessarily know how these processes work, so this is good. Number 1, hand counting paper ballots. The most important safeguard is the paper ballot. Auditors manually inspect a sample, or in some cases all paper ballots, and compare them to machine-reported totals. If machines were manipulated, the hand count would not match the electronic tally. Risk-limiting audits expand the sample if discrepancies appear. Number 2, checking for discrepancies in ballot images. Some jurisdictions use ballot image audits, reviewing the digital scans produced by optical scan machines. So that would.
Wait, why are we talking about this again? This feels like we are so far off the fucking path at this point. Like, it feels like we're way off the path of whatever the fuck we should actually be talking about. Like, I don't know. I don't know why we went down this, like, counting.
Be them, like, showing like how they voted and not just that they voted. Research shows this method can be fooled if a machine is compromised. A University of Michigan study demonstrated that an attacker with access to a voting machine could manipulate ballot images without altering paper ballots. This is why experts emphasize auditing the physical paper, not just images. Number 3, examining system logs and hash values. Auditors review system event logs, software hash values, chain of custody records, boot logs, and configuration files. Number 4, logic and accuracy testing. Before and after elections, machines undergo tests to using predetermined test ballots. If a machine has been tampered with, it may miscount the test ballots. Post-election L&A tests help detect manipulation that occurred during the election. Number 5, comparing multiple independent records. Auditors cross-check poll book check-ins, number of ballots issued, number of ballots scanned, provisional ballot counts, spoiled ballot logs. Number 6, investigating anomalies or outliers. Auditors look for unusual vote patterns, sudden shifts in machine behavior, precincts with statistically improbable results. Number 7, review findings from independent security researchers.
Wait, I'm still confused why this is being why is this being said? I'm still so confused. Wait, why? Why is what's going on? What is even happening right now? I don't even know.
Security researchers like J. Alex Halderman have uncovered vulnerabilities in U.S. voting equipment, including ballot scanners and ballot marking devices. Their work has led to stronger audit procedures and better detection methods. Almost done. Number 8, full recounts when discrepancies appear. If an audit finds significant mismatches, states may escalate to expanded audits, full hand recounts, and forensic examinations of machines. So there are multiple systems in place that these
Okay, wow, thanks for the YAP session. What
states
next?
conduct or use to conduct these audits and recounts. Would you concede that it does appear that it would be extremely difficult to change like millions of votes and just get away with it without anybody noticing? It seems unlikely that they would be able to do that.
Bro, people, dude, I guarantee you, people will just be complicit, okay? All right? They'll find some way, okay? They will find some way, all right? If that is the point you're trying to make, they will find some way, okay? Like, is that the answer you're trying to look for? Because I promise you, it's not any more, like, uplifting, okay?
I think that it would be difficult, and I think that it would be challenging. Yeah, very difficult, very challenging. A lot of moving parts, likely to have it discovered. But it may be that there's a way that I don't know about. Like this has just been me speculating. I don't understand why they took the machine. It gives me great pause, great worry, great concern. One, that it was able to be accomplished. Two, that what they're going to do with that machine is scary. It is. And I think to hand wave it all that fucking Trump administration is morons is naive. They're not morons. They are they're certainly, the figureheads are morons, but there are hyper intelligent people that want to maximize the amount of money that they make and push their religious views behind the scenes. And they have think tanks and studies and everything else and risks that they're willing to take to do it. So yes, I absolutely concur that the odds of doing it and having it be successful are incredibly difficult. And matching the paper ballots and all that, and it's a whole challenge. But I don't think it's impossible. I think it's able to be done. And I think that they don't need to do it worldwide. They need to do it in a few spots. And if they can do it in a way that we don't even think to question, that's the goal, right? You don't fight the battle you didn't know you had. You just thought you just lost Georgia for some reason. They just really care about trans issues there. That's it. Like, that's the goal if you can get it to that point. It's not the, no women can come vote without your birth certificate shit. Like, the reason I think they're throwing all that stuff out right now is to distract. I don't know. A certain amount of dissuading people to come vote in the first place, but also a certain amount of showmanship, making you look over here while they're doing something else behind the scenes. It's a little bit scary. That's my view. Maybe it's doomer. I just don't think that there's no reason whatsoever that they did this.
I mean, like, we can argue, like, the election overall has a bunch of moving parts, but, like, with the Michigan slate elector shit and with the Nevada shit, right? I feel like we came terrifyingly close because it really did actually come down to Pence, no? Like, it unironically came down to Pence. Like, we can also argue that had a lot of moving parts, right? Like, you have to, like, go get the electors have to count, like, whatever, the electors have to choose whatever, right? Like, that also has a lot of moving parts. But then, where we ended up was that it really just came down to Pence, right? This is why these hypotheticals are just like, I don't know, they're just not good, I guess. I don't know.
I think there was a reason that they did it. Trump has shown himself to do whatever he wants to accomplish his goal, and the stakes cannot be higher for him in the administration. It's not losing power. It's jail. It's financial disgorgement. It's everything. It's legacy gone for him and everyone around him.
Okay. Well, I wish I could persuade you to my view that this country is very resilient. This electorate is very energized, and his chances of beating the system are just as bad as they were in 2020. I don't think I can convince you of that. And it is my sincere hope that we can get to these midterms, we get past these midterms, and we have a really good night. And I hope at that point you feel a little bit better about like the prospects. You still have to be vigilant for 2028, of course, but that's like the best I can hope for here. But I think there's probably like a good
Hutch is a competitive gaslighter too.
Good purpose for people like you having this view. Okay, like probably a good thing to have people that are like really kind of pessimistic about like what's going to happen in these midterms.
Yeah, okay. How would you guys feel if you had somebody talking to you like this?
Because probably about them are just as bad as they were in 2020.
Like, just listen to Hutch, okay? Just picture that you are the one that Hutch is speaking to, okay?
I don't think I can convince you of that. And it is my sincere hope that we can get to these midterms, we get past these midterms, and we have a really good night. And I hope at that point you feel a little bit better about like the prospects. You still have to be vigilant for 2028, of course, but that's like the best I can hope for here. But I think there's probably like a good purpose for people like you having this view. Like probably a good thing to have people that are like really kind of pessimistic about like what's going to happen in these midterms. Because
do you guys see what I'm talking about now? It maybe is good to have some people like you who are pessimistic about what will happen going on in the midterms, right? like that feels like a fundamental inability to understand Dan's points, or just obtuseness, I guess. Like sprinkling that in there, all right, condescension, right, severe condescension, right?
It's probably going to result in more people paying attention. So,
well, that's not. I said before, that's not true. Being pessimistic has a lesser turnout than thinking that you're about to dominate, which is why we always want to say that, man, we're gonna fucking smash the Republicans. Oh my God, I don't even think, we don't even need the boomers to come out. The young people are so fucking crazy to go out.
Well, then that's a good argument to keep your doomer shit to yourself, then, right?
Well, sure, but we're talking about realistic stuff. I don't know if this is true. Someone in your chat said only 27 states require a paper ballot trail for audits, and if that's true, that's scary, right? Because then all there is once you cast your ballot, it's a 1 or a 0 for a D or an R, and that's it. That's the end of the story. There's no additional audit. All
right. Well, let me just look it up then. How do states that do not require paper ballots verify the accuracy of each?
I feel like every time you ask ChatGPT this, let me be the answer. 1, there is a persuasive system in place to thoroughly audit as things come in. 2, an independent committee looks and tries to identify any vulnerabilities in code. 3, outside investigators will come and sometimes do a samplistic determination. Like, I don't know. I feel like I don't get any answer out of this thing of it. It's a little scary. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, 27 states. What do they do?
Well, you'll be happy to learn that well, I don't know if you'll be happy, but states that do not use voter verified paper ballots rely on procedural controls, electronic records, and reconciliation checks, but they cannot provide the same level of verifiable accuracy as states with paper trails. Security experts have repeatedly warned that without a paper record, a voter's intent cannot be independently verified in the event of a cyber attack or a malfunction. How these states attempt to verify accuracy without paper. So they do the logic and accuracy testing, like I mentioned before. They look at the machine event logs and security logs. They look at poll book and turnout reconciliation. So officials compare number of voters who checked in, number of ballots cast, number of votes recorded by machines. Number 4, they do provisional and absentee ballot verification. Number 5, they do post-election procedural audits. These audits check whether machines were sealed properly, chain of custody rules were followed, memory cards match expected configurations. So there's also digital digital forensic audits. Remember the
is he using AI? Fucking dumb. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, all right. I think people were generally. I feel like when was the last time ChatGPT got something wrong? I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but whatever.
That's my world though. So
right.
You can be in and out and be undetected. That's a shrimple ass. It is possible to do that.
Okay. Well, listen. Can't promise you. I guess it's possible. I guess it's possible.
Is this not scary stuff when you're doing this? Yeah. But who owns Dominion voting machines?
It's some new guy about it. The new conservative guy.
Okay. Is that good? You pause?
Sure. But I mean, listen. You're old enough to know that the voting machine stuff, this happens every election. Literally every election, every midterm, every election. One side or the other does the voting machine stuff. And all I can tell you,
it's different by far this time to a level. I sound like Trump, to a level we have never seen before. These guys don't lose power; they lose their liberty and their wealth. It's never been like this before.
Listen. I don't know if they necessarily are worried about going to jail, because I do think he probably intends to pardon himself and everybody in the cabinet. And so there's that. But and there's also your private citizens or private entities are very limited in their ability to directly sue members of an administration. There are, I think, ways that it can happen, but they're very, very limited. So I don't know if they're worried about that. I don't know if they're necessarily worried about that much.
Okay. You do not take these guys seriously at all. And that scares me a little bit. You need to take them incredibly seriously. Don't think that they're just a bunch of goofy old fucks and that can't get anything done. They're serious, dangerous, wild fucking animals that need to be treated with extreme caution and assume that they're always 10 steps ahead of you. That's it. Because they're sneaky. They'll break rules we don't break. They don't believe in democracy. They believe in winning.
It's not that I don't think that they have really bad intentions and criminal intentions. It's not that I think that they're beyond trying to steal an election. It's more, I have, it sounds like I have more faith in our systems and our constitution and in the larger system that it can be resilient once again in the face of Donald Trump, because the last time he just humiliated himself when he tried to steal the last election. I mean, he was...
Now we are looping. It was different. You can skip the whole thing. It's different that time.
I don't think the Supreme Court is literally the same exact Supreme Court. So
yeah, but the Supreme Court didn't know that he was ever going to get reelected again. So they're like, this motherfucker is done. This guy's cooked. Trump never heard of that motherfucker. But now,
they had the power to make it so that he was elected, right?
No, that would have been impossible. He wasn't. Literally, that would have been impossible. That is the too big to rig in that situation, because he wasn't prepared for that. He didn't have the team in place that would follow illegal orders or do any of the wild shit.
The claim of wanting to bring back paper ballots or ensure paper ballots is a conservative talking point and disinfo. You would expect AI to be bad at filtering that. Oh yeah, true, fair enough. Also, counting by hand, you're more prone to miscount when you count by hand, right? Just to be very, very fucking clear about this, right? I'm almost 100% sure, because I searched this up before, that counting it by hand is 100% more inaccurate.
He did this time, that he will do this time.
Okay.
Right? He had people that even his VP won't.
And counting is less accurate? Yeah, of course, right? Of course, that makes sense.
Follow along with him, and you can't keep.
You're 100% correct? Okay, all right. Just
comparing these two situations.
All right, well, listen.
He has sycophants this time. They'll ride or die for him. Last time, he had actual politicians. That was his mistake. He won't do that again.
Okay, when we have the midterms, and when we get past these midterms, and when the Democrats have a good night, I want to close by just asking you this question. Are you going to move the goalpost, or are you going to join me in thinking that maybe America will be resilient once again in the face of Trump, and we will get past him in this moment?
How much are you expecting that what's the bare minimum we're gonna win in your mind, since you're the politics guy for the House?
Again, I think like the consensus right now is like the realistic range would be anywhere between like 22 and 35 seats. I won't be happy unless it's like a fucking blowout night. That's the attitude I went into.
What number are you like, this is fucking insane, I can't believe we only won 3 House seat majority? Is that it? Like, what's that number where you're like something crazy?
I'm talking to Laksha tomorrow, so I can ask him. I don't know enough about
whatever that number is. You figure out what that number is, and if it's that number or less, meaning like Trump gives himself, oh yeah, the Democrats won the House, but we still have the Senate, and it's fucking we have the House by like 2, and Fetterman and another guy are still in there. Then then that was all part of the plan, and that may be part of the fucking plan, by the way, to have Democrats win the House, but winning in a way that still can't accomplish anything because Fetterman and someone else isn't willing to go along the way.
Well, Fetterman's not in the House, so
whoever is going to be the new Fetterman at that point. Sorry.
Listen, that does sound very.
As far as like dick sucking the Trump administration.
You're giving yourself like a lot of like wiggle room here. But listen, like let's just put.
Isn't that a fair thing? Wouldn't you be happy if Dems took control of the House, but it was just, thank God, but it's only by 2?
I'll take the W, but I would be disappointed. So like I told my chat I
would be like, this is controlled fucking opposition if you win by 2.
Okay, well listen, I mean, I think the night is going to go very similar to last November, and I fired up my stream and I told my chat I was like, I'm not going to be happy unless this is like a really convincing win. And what ended up going beyond what I expected. It was even worse for Republicans than I expected. So I had a fucking great night in November. And I hope that the same thing happens this time around. I'm not going to be happy unless it's a pretty decisive win. I mean, I really am not going to be like, I'm going to be a little disappointed if we don't take back the Senate. And that's, most people think that that's going to be hard, but I'm not going to be happy unless that happens. But if that happens, Dan, we do have a really good night.
If you get the Senate. Yeah, I'll admit defeat for sure. Absolutely. But I won't admit defeat if it's like they keep the Senate and then we only have 2 seats in the House. And that to me is controlled opposition.
That is very, very unlikely to happen.
Will you be okay with me saying I won if that's the case? If Democrats have like a 2 or 3 seat majority in the House?
I'll be disappointed, but I wouldn't be ready to like join you.
I want that one. The bet has to be more than how many House psychopaths do we have on the Democrat side?
You don't really have
like Simon and people like that are senators, but
I don't think we have any psychopaths in the House. I mean,
talking about people that will like suck the dick of Trump, so to speak.
We have
House Democrats signed on to the War Act.
I think anywhere between like 6 and 12, I would say, out of over 200.
That's 6 and 12 too many, dude.
But anywhere between like 6 and 12.
If it's less than 5, then it's controlled. So if we only have a 5-seat win,
like you mean they stole it? Like that? What do you mean?
Yeah, yes, it was stolen, and you're not going to even look for the recount. We won by 5. Yeah.
Well, there will be recounts. There will be recounts. So, listen, Dan, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to have a really good night, and I think I hope that you text me when that happens, and you say, I feel a little bit better. And I cannot wait till we get there because frankly, I can't fucking stand the doomerism and radicalization that I'm seeing happen these days. It's driving me insane.
Well, you got to start acknowledging the crazy shit going on around you.
I do acknowledge this.
You move on from it very quickly.
No,
you're not scared enough about this voting machine seizure. You have no answer for it. It's nuts. It's crazy. It's beyond the pale in every safeguard that you've talked about this conversation.
There's a jump from there's a leap from that. You're leaping from.
So we can all agree that he's like white as shit, right? Like we can all agree that he's white as shit, right?
Why? That too. Why? Maybe they disenfranchise millions of voters, which that is a very big stretch, Dan.
No, because we started this conversation with they can't do that. The legal arm of the state would claw it back and do it.
I don't think they're going to use the same machine, Dan. That sounds kind of crazy to me, Dan.
Well, that's not what I asked about. I want to know how they have it right now. Because in your world, this never should have gone through, right?
Yeah, but you're just playing an I win card for like, Donald Trump has done really fucked up, alarming things. No, but there's a cavern between that and he's going to disenfranchise millions of voters, Dan. There's a gigantic cavern between those things. And
I don't think there's any cavern. I don't think he gives a fuck about disenfranchising millions of people. So there is no difference. The only difference is now we're watching him break a state law that's out of the statute of limitations, seize a voting machine while the director of national intelligence is standing by.
They might be able to assert some authority within the executive branch that would allow them to, like, for example, if it was true that Venezuela hacked the voting machines in Fulton County, then there would be a legitimate basis to, like take the voting machine and analyze it and see
after 6 years.
Yeah, there's a national security concern there, right? Like, wouldn't if it happened, right? But they could have used that authority. I don't know. I can't tell. I don't know enough about that particular thing. I know a lot of people. I follow a lot of legal experts, and a lot of people are very alarmed by that. And I'm not intelligent enough to tell you why. But it's not like I don't think that stuff matters. It's just the thing that
matters greatly, and you got to keep your eyes on the prize.
No, but you think that because I think your ideas are fantastical and blue and on and a little schizophrenic, some of them, you think that means that I don't care.
Did he say blue and on? Yeah, I think he's lost his mind.
But that's not what that means. It just means that I think that
I didn't say you didn't care. I think you're
well, I don't care enough, is what you're saying. But that's not what it means. I just don't
care
think
a lot. You're just.
Oh, he's even adopting the MAGA ability of making these silly little nicknames. Fuck me, dude.
Delusional about how people are. I know that people are evil. I know that people will do anything to win. And you think that people are inherently good. And I know that they're inherently evil.
And I think that you're delusional about the girthy arm of the American Constitution. The girthy cock of the American. That's what I think you're delusional about. I think you think
you're
these things.
You're like Dr. K. You're the political Dr. K. You're here like,
no, IRI is more. IRI is way more white pilled than I am. He's
do some AOE healing. Don't worry, it's gonna be fine. There's gonna be some AOE.
I do think we need to do some
going on in
AOE healing.
Poland.
I think we should do some like reforms when we take power and actually, you know, like have the ability to do policies. You know, listen, Dan, I gotta go. I did enjoy this
Nice talking to
conversation. Yeah, and
All right.
we can
How did I rank compared to the other arguments? How many have you done so far?
like dozens. I take viewer call-ins like dozens.
Oh, well, not counting viewer count. Only from like streamers and stuff. I want to know where I rank.
Well, I would say that I found this conversation the least aggravating, and I feel like at least
Ooh,
you
that's good.
were willing to flesh out hypotheticals. I think a lot more than anybody that I talked to. I may disagree with your hypotheticals, but you were actually like giving it that kind of thought. And so, you know what, Dan, I'm going to give you number one. I'm going to say number one. You of all the people, you had the most compelling arguments. I don't.
Dude, I love it. All right, I'm going out on that. You know what you do when you're negotiating, guys, and you get a number you want? You leave. I love you. See you later.
Bye, Dan. I mean that too. I'm not even making that up. I think he was the best. Everybody else is just like, I don't know. They'll fucking do it. They'll just fucking do it. At least he's coming at me with some ideas. I may think the ideas are a little far-fetched, but suck.
I just like Tarkin in A New Hope before the Death Star explodes, saying, "Evacuate in our moment of triumph." I think you overestimate their chances. Oh my god.
Dem Dubois with $2. Dan is 100% right.
Wait, the Tarkin comparison is so accurate. What the fuck? That's actually a really good one. Thank you.
Team Dan. Michael with $5. You can't rattle my Hulk Hutch. He is whole. He cannot be swarmed with alarm. He cannot be cat-toyed. He is serenity. Coach J with $5. Both of you.
Wait.
What's the level of concern they got the machines in Georgia to be able to dig into the system and try to manipulate the midterms? I think it's just, whatever. 0.1% chance that that's what happened. I think there's a 99.9% chance that he's poking around in there because he still delusionally thinks that he can find evidence of voter fraud.
What?
Because he wants to be able to tell his fucking people we have rock solid.
He'll make up evidence if there's no evidence, okay? Like what do you think he'll do? You think he'll just like sit idly by and twiddle his thumbs?
Evidence, that they stole the election, but they're not going to find it, and that's going to be it. Liam with $20, your defensive liberal principles makes you my new favorite streamer. I love you asking people to actually do something to back up the words and watch them expose how little they actually care / believe in what they're saying. Wow, thank you so much. Suck.
Dude, who are these people? Guys, who are these people? These people are not my allies. They're not a part of my coalition. What the fuck, dude? Who are these people? I can't believe it.
Dem Dubois with $2. Dan's eggplant is obviously massive, 100% based. Robert Paulson with $5. Hutch, do you acknowledge the majority of Trump's base believe Biden and company committed a coup, right? Yet here we are. The left will be no different. I don't think they believed it with the kind of conviction that they claim. And I think a lot of them are just cowards. But if you were to like literally do a coup in the United States right now, if Donald Trump tried to do that, boy, oh boy, would the American people not take that sitting down like they would.
I'm sure we will find a very strongly worded letter for Trump, okay? An extremely strongly worded letter to the Republican Congress, okay? I'm sure this time around it'll definitely work and it will not fail, okay? We will all rejoice in the happiness and bask in the liberal sunlight, okay? We will throw our arms open in the light of the American Constitution, okay? And we'll instantly in our pants because of its glory, all right? I don't fucking know, dude. Fuck me. I don't fucking know.